Chapter 2964. But at that time, the 9 stars and moon was very faint and disappeared in a flash. In addition, many people did not know the true meaning of the 9 stars and moon, so no one paid attention. But Dingwa Marquis did, and so did the people of Mulu Pavilion. They knew that the person who triggered the 9 stars and moon was not on the cultivation continent, so the phenomenon disappeared in a flash. But now, the 9 heavens and moon appeared once again, and it was so earth-shattering and unprecedented. Who was it? Who triggered the 9 stars and moon? A name was on the verge of being uttered from everyone's lips. June. Mu. Yen. Dingwa Marquis gritted his teeth, his voice trembling. She is from the Yenwu continent. When the 9 stars and moon appeared, her name was not on the cultivation continent. She has the moon spirit root, the one and only moon spirit root in the world. Ye Yun frowned, unconvinced. What moon spirit root? Is it very powerful? No matter how powerful she is just a young girl in her early 20s. Dad, aren't you guys overreacting? However, no one answered her at all. Even Jing Tianyi didn't look at her at all. He clenched his fists tightly, and it took him a while to control his voice from revealing fear. He muttered, not only the 9 stars and moon, she advanced. A few days ago, she just advanced to the leaving aperture stage. Now she advanced again, the tribulation stage, the youngest tribulation stage in the cultivation continent. Shui Minglang's Adam's apple bobbed, his voice sharp. Demon. They are demons, the unfettered 7 demons are all demons. If we do not kill them this time, we will be doomed eternally. Eternally doomed. Dingwa Marquis suddenly said, do you still think that using the Starry School students to threaten them is an inhumane act? Su Chinkuan said, inhumane. How can we talk about kindness when we are about to lose our lives? That's right. We cannot allow a female demon like Mayan to continue living in this world. Yes, as long as we can kill her, kill the unfettered 7 demons, no matter what we do, it is all righteous and forced. Fortunately, we have confirmed the location of those demons. I really didn't expect that they would actually hide at the peak of the Phoenix Heaven mountain range. No wonder we couldn't find it after searching for so long. North Placating Marquis looked at Jing Tianyi and said, Alliance head Jing, give the order. His voice is faintly discernible, his pair of eagle-like eyes reveal a sinister and ruthless glint. Only when June Mayan's realm has yet to be completely stabilized, before the strength of the unfettered 7 demons has yet to increase again, can we cut the weeds and eliminate the roots, forever eliminating future troubles. Jing Tianyi took a deep breath and waved his hand. Everyone, listen to my command. We will head to the heavenly Phoenix mountain range immediately to kill the demons and raise the prestige of the righteous path. Slay the demons and raise the prestige of our righteous path. Slay the demons and raise the prestige of our righteous path. In the unclean abyss. Ning Su flew to the highest peak of the snow demon forest, gazing at the silver moon hanging high in the sky and the 9 stars connected to it for a long time. The demon-slaying sword was unsheathed and pointed at the moon in the sky. 9 stars and moon. Moon spiritual root. Ha! You're indeed Ning Yanxin's daughter. Sword Qi whistled and pierced the center of the moon. However, the silver moon was traceless, and the demon-slaying sword naturally returned without any success. Ning Su held the sword in his hand and said in a low voice, June Mayan, wait for me. Wait for me to take your life with my own hands. Chapter 2965. The Xiuxian Continent. Above the sky in the extreme north of the hidden abyss, a huge hole rotated like a vortex. From time to time, large and small starved ghosts fell from the vortex. Between heaven and earth, the bloody air was thick, and whales were everywhere. In a valley next to the hidden abyss, a huge enchantment was set up. Outside the enchantment, there were densely packed starved ghosts, desperately trying to rush in. Inside the enchantment, there were cultivators with anxious and desperate faces. What the hell is going on? For thousands of years, the enchantment has never collapsed. Why did it suddenly become like this? The sky pillar collapsed, the starved ghosts wreaked havoc. Is the Shushan continent finished? Our sects and homes are gone. What are we going to do in the future? Sob, sob, sob. Low voices of discussion and crying came from the crowd from time to time. Whether they were spiritual cultivators or demon cultivators, whether they lived in the hidden abyss or above. At this time, these people all had the same expression, panic. Only a few people standing outside the enchantment looked calm. They either saw the sky pillar collapse and hurried to the hidden abyss to rescue, or they were powerful enough to protect themselves and escape even in the midst of the rampaging starved ghosts. I didn't expect that the disaster of the starved ghosts would be so serious. The dozens of sects and families and the tens of thousands of demons in the hidden abyss were almost wiped out. It's all thanks to Master Jing Yuan's help that the people in the hidden abyss were saved. Yes. Master, please accept our bow. Amitabha. It's my duty to help the people in danger and deliver suffering. You don't have to be so polite. The one who spoke was a little monk in a golden red cassock, holding a golden alms bowl. He was kind and handsome, looking like a young boy who had just reached the age of 18. But the surrounding people were extremely respectful to him, as if he was their elder. Because everyone knew that although this young boy looked like a young boy, he had actually lived for thousands of years. His master was the abbot of Debi Temple, Bodhidharma, the most powerful person in Buddhism. Jing Yuan was the youngest disciple of Bodhidharma, but he had already cultivated the Bodhi golden body. Fortunately, Jing Yuan happened to be nearby when the heavenly pillar collapsed. The grand formless array, formed by the formless gold alms bowl, protected the spirit cultivators and demonic cultivators near the hidden abyss, which prevented rivers of blood and corpses from piling up. After chanting the Dharma, Jing Yuan looked at the huge vortex in the sky and frowned slightly. The formless array can protect me for a while, but it can't protect me forever. This poor monk's immortal power will eventually be exhausted. Unless we can repair the heavenly pillar, I'm afraid it won't last long. Jing Yuan's words made everyone look at each other in despair. Repairing the sky pillar requires at least 4 immortal sovereigns to work together. The number of people who can reach this level in the entire continent can be counted on one hand. Immortals were divided into Hollow Immortal, Golden Immortal, Profound Immortal, Immortal King, Immortal Venerable, and Immortal Emperor. In the entire continent, most people were Hollow Immortals and Golden Immortals. Profound Immortals and above would be able to form indestructible golden bones and live for 10,000 years. Above the Celestial King tier, one would already possess the ability to transcend the heavens and the earth, and become an overlord of a region. As for the Immortal Venerables, they were people who could stand shoulder to shoulder with the demon venerables of the demon world and the domain lord of the nether domain. In the entire Shushan continent, there might not be 10 of them. As for the Immortal Emperor, since the war 1,000 years ago, there was only one, Di Mingju, who had just advanced. It was easier said than done to find 4 immortal sovereigns to work together to repair the heavenly pillar. Chapter 2966. Amitabha. Jing Yuan chanted a Buddhist Dharma. This penniless monk can occupy a seat, but this penniless monk alone will not be able to accomplish anything. As soon as he said that, everyone present was shocked. Great Master Jing Yuan has already reached the venerable immortal realm. If I remember correctly, Great Master Jing Yuan became Bodhidharma's disciple for less than 1,000 years, right? Great Master Jing Yuan is benevolent, but as Great Master said, how can he alone be enough? What about the other venerables? Don't tell me they are not willing to repair the sky pillar and save thousands of lives. These people are either in seclusion or in high positions. How could they be willing to risk their lives to come here now? When the sky pillar collapsed, countless poltergeist ghosts would gather under the collapsed sky pillar. If they wanted to repair the barrier now, they would have to risk their lives. But after a period of time, these poltergeist ghosts would be attracted by the fresh meat and slowly disperse. At that time, it would be much safer to repair the sky pillar. But if the sky pillar is not repaired, the cracks in the barrier will only increase and become bigger. The poltergeist ghosts will continuously pour out from the cracks. In this way, the entire Shushan continent will fall into deep water and fire. They will either be torn to pieces and devoured by the poltergeist ghosts, or be infected by the poltergeist poison and become these monsters that are neither human nor ghost. A clan leader who used to live beside the hidden abyss cried and laughed at the same time. Ants like us, who among those high and mighty figures would care about our lives? We're doomed to die. While speaking, a scream came from behind. He is infected by the poltergeist poison. Quickly throw him out of the barrier, or we will all die. No, I am not. I am not a poltergeist ghost, I am a human. I beg you, don't throw me out, I don't want to die. Throw him out. Quickly. Let go of my husband. Who has the heaven spirit detoxification pill? Save my husband. I beg you, I beg you. Everyone showed grief. The fox grieved for the death of the poltergeist. It was extremely difficult to refine the antidote of pie poison, the heaven spirit detoxification pill. Everyone did not have much of it with them. They planned to use it to save themselves in case they were unlucky enough to be infected. Now that everyone was trapped in this small non-phase formation, who would be willing to give the life-saving pill to others for free? So, they could only watch as the woman cried and begged, and the man wailed in despair. Just as they had tied up the man and were about to send him out of the non-phase formation, suddenly, a blue light flashed. Whoosh! The densely packed poltergeist ghosts in front of the barrier were still baring their fangs and brandishing their claws, trying to rush into the non-phase grand array. They didn't even have time to react before their bodies were cut in half. Moreover, the severed body couldn't be regenerated like before. Instead, with a sizzling sound, it instantly evaporated and dissipated. In the blink of an eye, a large empty space appeared in front of the barrier. Everyone stared blankly and saw a handsome man in a black robe, like a god, slowly walking towards the formless grand array. The tens of thousands of poltergeist ghosts on both sides stood there blankly, and even kept retreating. They were suppressed by the terrifying pressure and did not dare to move forward. For a moment, the poltergeist ghosts, who were just ferocious and mindless, abruptly opened up a path for the man. It was as if thousands of demons were obediently welcoming the arrival of an emperor. The whole place inexplicably fell into a deathly silence. Chapter 2967. Remember in 1 second, 800 mail sign small/say net wonderful pop-up window free reading. The entire place fell into a deathly silence. Then, everyone's breathing became rapid, from light to heavy. June. Finally, someone couldn't help but scream. It's the Polar Domain Sovereign Lord. The Polar Region Emperor has come to save us. Long live the Emperor. Di Mingju doesn't care about the cries of the crowd, and goes straight to Jing Yuan. Not waiting for Di Mingju to open his mouth, Jing Yuan promptly bows and says, "Greetings, Di Jun." At such a critical moment, the emperor actually disregarded his own safety and rushed over to save the common people. On behalf of the common people, I thank the emperor for his benevolence. Di Mingju twirls the ring on his finger as he says faintly, "Great master is too polite." May I trouble Great Master to tell Ben Jun about the situation when the heavenly pillar collapsed? This penniless monk will not shirk his duty. After listening to Jing Yuan's narration, Di Ming raised his hand, and in his palm, a weapon that looked like a sword, but wasn't a sword, or a knife, but wasn't a knife. At first, he couldn't tell what color the weapon was, nor could he see its shape. Only when it was about 3 feet long did it slowly transform into a dark blue, translucent longsword. Jing Yuan took a few steps back because of the appearance of this weapon. When he realizes what Di Mingju wants to do, he can't help but ask in astonishment, Di Jun, are you planning to repair Heavenly Pillar? Otherwise, why would I come here? The Heavenly Pillar has 4 cores. I'm afraid that the Emperor alone won't be able to repair all 4 cores at the same time. Moreover, there are many poltergeist ghosts around the crack. I'm afraid that the Emperor's life is in danger. Jing Yuan paused halfway through his sentence. Because from Di Mingju's cold expression, he realizes that, how could the Imperial Lord not understand these principles? It was just that compared to repairing the Heavenly Pillar and saving countless lives, he cared less about his own life. Amitabha. Jing Yuan chanted softly. A faint smile blossomed on his handsome face. His entire being seemed to be born in the holy light of the Buddhist sect, benevolent and holy. Since you've already made your decision, then I won't try to persuade you any further. However, please allow me to go with you to repair the heavenly pillars. As he spoke, Jing Yuan lightly tapped the golden alms bowl in his palm. The golden alms bowl flew up high and landed on the top of a hill. The non-phase golden alms bowl was the core of the non-phase grand array. If he took it away, the barrier here would disappear. Jing Yuan is determined to accompany Di Mingju to repair the heavenly pillars. This journey is fraught with danger, and the golden alms bowl is his greatest reliance. But now that he had lost the golden alms bowl, there was not a trace of unwillingness or fear on his face. She raised her hand, and the golden red kasaya turned into a red silk scarf in her hand. She smiled and said, Your Majesty, please. Cultivation Continent, Linglong Island. The once clear blue sky now seemed to be dyed red with blood. From time to time, roars and cries could be heard from the ground. Yu Yanran stood on the roof of the Fian Palace, looking into the distance, her willowy eyebrows furrowed tightly. Miss, it's very windy here. Huang Shouchuan held the cloak in his hand and carefully draped it over her. He said gently, Miss, don't worry. The polar domain has the sovereign lord overseeing it. Nothing will happen. Although our exquisite island is attached to the polar domain on the surface, we have always been aloof from worldly affairs, untainted by the mundane. Linglong Island has the protection of the 9 Revolutions exquisite array. Certainly, no poltergeist ghosts can break in. As for the common people of the mortal world, even if the poltergeist ghosts wreak havoc and kill, that is their destiny. It can't be forced. Yu Yanran sighed softly, Big Brother Huang, I know. But even though she knows, she still can't help but worry about that person. Will he get hurt? Will he be worried and afraid? No. He won't. Chapter 2968. Remember in 1 second, 800 mail sign small/say net, wonderful pop-up window free reading. That person was the high and mighty polar domain emperor. He did not need to take the risk personally, he would definitely be safe. However, just as this thought flashed through, a violent energy fluctuation came from the southwest sky. A huge ball of thunder fire exploded as if it had been ignited. Above the hidden abyss, the whirlpool where the sky pillar collapsed twisted. The ghouls that fell from it let out painful wails. Some were directly torn to pieces by the twisted space, blood and flesh splattering down. Yu Yanran suddenly rushed to the railing, staring at the direction of the rising sun, it's the Emperor's god power fluctuation. He is in the crack of the sky pillar. That place is so dangerous, how can he go there personally? Huang Shouchuan was also astonished. Not only is there the Emperor's god power fluctuation, there seems to be Buddhist wish power mixed in. After the ice blue lightning fire exploded, the space distortion slowly disappeared. The huge black whirlpool in the sky shrunk by more than half. But it did not disappear. Inside the whirlpool, ghouls fell from time to time. And these ghouls were all incomparably huge, the fiendish blood energy thick, clearly much higher level than the previous ghouls. Yu Yanran's face was pale, the worry in her eyes almost overflowing. The Emperor is in danger. I have to go save him, I have to go save him. Miss. You must not. Huang Shouchuan was shocked. There must be a large number of ghouls gathered above the hidden abyss. You will be in danger if you go. Yu Yanran bit her lips, waving away Huang Shouchuan's hand, saying resolutely, even if there is danger, I have to go to the Emperor's side. Back then, when I was in danger, it was the Emperor who risked his life to save me. At this time, how can I not be by his side? With that, she soared into the sky and let out a soft whistle. Huang Shouchuan looked at Yu Yanran's figure instantly stepping on the flying magic treasure, stomping his feet. He called over a servant, asking urgently, where is that person in Clear Flower Palace? Does he know that Miss is in danger? The servant shook his head. Young master has not been in Clear Flower Palace these days. Trash. Ungrateful wretch. Huang Shouchuan scolded fiercely. At such a crucial moment, he didn't even show up. Miss has treated him so well for nothing. Forget it, I don't need him. Go take stock of the 12 exquisite guards and have them follow me to the hidden abyss to rescue the young Mississippi, yes, Vice Island Master. Above the hidden abyss. Not long after Di Mingju and Great Master Jing Yuan rushed into the crack of Heavenly Pillar, Han Yi, Ying Mei, and Xing Lang hurried over. Elder Chang and Pejuan returned to the polar domain to mobilize the Imperial Guards. As soon as Han Yi and the others enter the non-phase array, they take out a small mountain of heaven spirit detoxification pills. The men who were about to be thrown out of the barrier, as well as those who were poisoned by the pi poison, didn't dare to make a sound, and could only suffer in despair. All felt that they had found a new lease of life, and cried tears of joy. Who was the one who said that the polar domain had abandoned us? The monarchs had abandoned us. Do you see that? Our emperor has personally come to save us. The monarch is the one and only immortal emperor in the 3 realms. As long as he takes action, there's no need to worry that the heavenly pillar can't be repaired. In the future, our Yu family will no longer be fickle. I vow to be loyal to the polar domain until death. Whatever infernal domain or netherworld domain, which one of them can be like the monarch, caring about the life and death of us little immortals in times of crisis. Devil cultivators are devil cultivators after all. They are selfish, ruthless, and ruthless. The hidden abyss clearly has the most demons, but look at those lofty demon generals, as well as the revered demon lord Jun Shirtian. Would they care about their lives? Chapter 2969. Remember in 1 second, 800 mail sign small/say net wonderful pop-up window free reading. The majority of the devil cultivators were hiding in the non-phase grand array. After all, the position where the heavenly pillar collapsed just happened to be above the hidden abyss, and below the hidden abyss was the demon race's main camp. When these fiendish cultivators saw the polar domain sovereign lord appear, it was not that they did not feel envious and jealous in their hearts. Towards the man who had shocked tens of thousands of poltergeist ghosts as soon as he appeared, the demons, who naturally admired the strong, could not help but feel admiration and reverence. However, no matter how much they admired him, they could not surpass the supreme demon lord. Hearing that these spirit cultivators dared to humiliate the demon lord, someone immediately shouted and pounced forward. Blood splattered everywhere. The poltergeists outside bared their sharp fangs, while the humans inside who were in danger fought amongst themselves. Fiendish cultivators had always been unreasonable, ruthless, and did things their own way. Even in such a dangerous situation where he was living under someone else's roof, he couldn't allow anything to go wrong. The spirit cultivators were used to pointing at the mulberry tree and scolding the locust tree. They would say only half of what they wanted to say and probe each other for a long time before deciding whether or not to fight. Who would have thought that these demonic cultivators would start a war just because of a disagreement? Caught off guard, a few of them almost lost half their lives. Those demonic cultivators, however, seemed unwilling to give up. There are even people who curse and insult the polar domain and Deming Jew. Who knows if that Deming Jew is just putting on airs, fishing for fame, and wanting to deceive our demon race. You spirit cultivators have always been crafty and cunning. Do you think that by saving us, you can make the entire devil race bow down to the polar domain? As soon as these words came out, the spirit cultivators were infuriated. Even Han Yi and the others, who were originally wholeheartedly paying attention to the vortex in the sky, can't help but look over with ashen faces. Especially Xing Lang, Deming Ju's brainless fan. With a gloomy face, he stomped the insolent fiendish cultivator onto the ground. Amidst the cheers of the surrounding spirit cultivators, Star Wolf pointed his sword at his heart and said sinisterly, "If you have the ability, say what you just said one more time." That fiendish cultivator's internal organs tumbled from the Star Wolf's beating, and his fiendish body was on the verge of collapse. He was in excruciating pain. At this moment, with a sword at his life gate, he could not help but reveal some fear in his eyes. He straightened his neck and shouted fiercely, "You spirit cultivators were the ones who slandered the demon lord first. You deserve to die. One day, my fiend race will unite the three realms and make all of you sanctimonious spirit cultivators die a graveless death. Courting death." Viciousness flashed in Star Wolf's eyes as he raised his sword and was about to pierce through this devil cultivator's heart. However, just as he raised his sword, a cold light flashed. With a clang, Star Wolf's sword was knocked away. The demonic cultivator who was stepped on was also dragged away by a huge force. TSK, the king's polar domain is really awe-inspiring, so domineering. Star Wolf turned to look. Inside the formless array, four strangely dressed devil cultivators had appeared out of nowhere. Seeing these four people, Star Wolf's pupils constricted. Tianhe, Wine Boy, Devil Blade, and Snow Girl. It's the four hidden abyss devil generals. He is Jun Shirtian's most loyal confidant. The one who had just spoken was the leader of the four demon generals, Tianhe. After he saved the insolent fiendish cultivator, he did not even give him a second glance and directly threw him to the side. His mocking gaze fell on Star Wolf. The dignified leader of the Imperial Guards bullied my little demon soldiers. So this is how Polar Domain does things. Aren't you afraid of being laughed at by the whole world if word of this gets out? Star Wolf sneered, not showing any weakness. Is being ungrateful the tradition of your fiend race? What kind of benevolence and righteousness is there to talk about with cruel and unscrupulous people like you? Chapter 2970. Remember in 1 second, 800 mail sign small/say net wonderful pop-up window free reading. The demonic cultivator, who was nearly killed by the Star Wolf, immediately shouted angrily, "Bah! The citizens of my demon race will save themselves. Do you think that your polar domain's sovereign emperor is just pretending to be merciful? What Shushan continent's one and only immortal emperor in 1,000 years? Now it seems that Deming Ju was only born with a good skin, and with the help of the Medicine King, his luck was good, that's all. What my fiend race despises the most is this kind of pretty boy. The spirit cultivators, especially the polar domain imperial guards, were finally completely enraged. Since the devil domain looks down on our lords so much, why did they send someone to marry us? Is it because you have too many demon princesses that you can't get married, so you're begging our Jun Shang to marry them? What nonsense are you spouting? Am I wrong? Wasn't it Elder Min Wei of your devil clan who sent someone to deliver the marriage document? Unfortunately, our Jun Shang looked down on that princess of yours from who knows which corner and refused the marriage alliance. In the end, you could only settle for the next best thing and chose Yin Wuji's son. Everyone in our polar domain knows about this matter. Could it be that everyone in your fiend race doesn't know about it? TSK, 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 it's not good to be so ignorant. Hearing this, the surrounding spirit cultivators couldn't help but laugh out loud. I heard that the demon princess was born from a mortal female cultivator while the demon sovereign was undergoing a tribulation in the lower realms. How could the bloodline of that lowly woman be compared to the female immortals of the Shushan continent? Moreover, no one knew whether the princess was dead or alive. If I were the polar domain's sovereign lord, I wouldn't be willing to make such an engagement either. The malicious and mocking voices around them drilled into the ears of Tianhe and the others. This caused their rage to skyrocket. I'll kill you. Tian, he roared, and two blood devil hammers flew out of his sleeves, smashing toward the spirit cultivator who spoke. Star Wolf unsheathed his sword, his killing intent cold. You want to kill my extreme domain's people in front of us, do you think I'm dead? Stop. Two shouts rang out at the same time. Ingmei, what are you doing? This scum dares to slander Lord like this, I will definitely tear him to pieces. Demon Blade, let go of me. I will tear this bastard into pieces today. Ingmei didn't reply to Star Wolf. Instead, he stepped forward and grabbed at the air. Several fiendish cultivators were caught off guard and were directly pulled out from the crowd. Devil Blade's actions were exactly the same as Ingmei. However, the person he caught was not a fiendish cultivator, but a spirit cultivator. Ingmei stepped on the neck of the devil cultivator who had almost been killed by Star Wolf and exerted force. Speak. Who ordered you to sow discord here? The fiendish cultivator's expression panicked, and he forced himself to calm down and said, I don't understand what you're talking about. You spirit cultivators were the ones who insulted the demon lord first. I'm so angry. Bang! A loud sound rang out. The spirit cultivator who had just said that the demon princess was a lowly woman had half of her body blown up, and she let out a mournful wail. Devil Blade sneered. Do you think that we, the four demon generals of the hidden abyss, are so easy to fool? Star Wolf and Milky Way, one raised his sword high and the other swung his blood demon hammer. They were unable to react to the situation. Are they going to fight or not? After the spirit cultivator who had half of his body blown up cried, he couldn't help but shout towards Star Wolf's direction, Lord, save me. The fiendish race wants to harm my spirit cultivator. Lord, please save my life. Chapter 2971. Tianzhu has collapsed, the poltergeist ghosts are wreaking havoc, and the entire Shushan continent has fallen into a crisis. What's most needed now is for all humans to work together to resist the calamity. Han Yit slowly steps forward, his cold gaze sweeping over the captured devil cultivators and spirit cultivators. But you? Deliberately sowing dissension at this time, causing a dispute between the two sides. Speak, what are your intentions? Yao Dao ruthlessly tramples on a devil cultivator's ribs. Speak. Who instigated you? These spirit cultivators and devil cultivators look at each other, panic-stricken and fearful, their eyes rolling around. We don't know what you're talking about. Ah. Death is at hand, yet you're still so stubborn. Han Yi looks at Ing Mei and winks. I think there's no need to interrogate them. Insignificant demons and monsters, there's no need for our polar domain to go to war. I think we should throw these two out of the great array and let the poltergeist ghosts devour them. Ing Mei doesn't say anything else, picking up the devil cultivator on the ground, about to throw him out. Yao Dao is taciturn, but his actions are exactly the same as Ing Mei's. Outside the barrier, countless poltergeist ghosts open their bloody mouths, revealing their sharp teeth stained with minced meat. Seeing this scene, a few people have deathly pale complexions, but they can still barely remain calm. The rest completely collapse, wailing and wailing, I'll speak, I'll speak. I'm willing to tell the truth, please don't throw us to the poltergeist ghosts. Someone told me to take advantage of this opportunity to sow dissension between the polar domain and the devil domain, that person is. Before he could finish speaking, a sharp whistle whistles from outside the barrier. Puchi. Something pierces through the hearts of these spirit cultivators and devil cultivators at the same time, blood splattering everywhere. The cries and pleas come to an abrupt end. Han Yi looks at the dead person in his hands, then at the poltergeist ghosts outside the barrier. His brows slightly knit together. He and Ing Mei look at each other, realizing the seriousness of the matter. In this world, the number of people who could kill someone without making a sound right under their noses was definitely more than the number of fingers on both hands. Now, not only have these two spies been killed, they don't even know how the other party did it, whether it was magic, immortal power, or divine power. Devil Blade. Tian he scratched his head and looked at his brother, what's going on? The wine boy frowned and said, is there someone in the crowd trying to sow discord between the demon race and the polar domain? Devil Blade nodded. Motherfucker, if I find out who did this, I won't let them off. Tianhe gritted his teeth and cursed. He then looked askance at Star Wolf. However, I still don't like this group of dogs from the polar domain. What bullshit, pretty boy, he actually dares to look down on our demon race's princess. One day, I will smash their hypocritical faces. Star Wolf's face darkened. Who doesn't know how to talk big? Your fiend race only has this bit of ability. Damn it, do you want to fight? Fine, let's fight. You think I'm scared of you? Han Yi and the wine boy have a headache, pressing their temples. At a time like this, what was the point of fighting over personal feelings? Just as the two of them were about to dissuade him, there was a sudden commotion in the crowd. Someone pointed to the southern horizon and exclaimed, look, someone is coming. The person's speed is extremely fast, and in the blink of an eye, he's already in front of them. The poltergeist ghosts that were originally surrounding the barrier smell the scent of fresh flesh and blood, and immediately pounce over while shouting. However, before the poltergeist ghosts could gnaw on the flesh, a mass of black gas silently appears, gradually surrounding them. Chapter 2972. By the time these poltergeist ghosts react, the black gas has already turned into a hurricane of sharp blades, mincing them into minced meat. Several figures slowly land outside the non-phase great array. Seeing the newcomers, Han Yi and Yao Dao both frown, showing a look of disgust. Star Wolf directly says bluntly, Yin Yuani, what are you doing here? The newcomer is the young lord of the Nether Realm, Yin Wuji's only acknowledged son, Yin Yuani. At this time, his complexion is ruddy, and he is full of vigor. There is no trace of his previous miserable and embarrassed appearance after the dark Yin Holy Flame's backlash. Presumptuous. A man beside Yin Yuani immediately shouts, Star Wolf, who do you think you are? How dare you talk to the young lord of the Nether Realm like this? Star Wolf sneers. His attitude towards the people of the Nether Realm is even more disdainful than that of Tianhe and Yao Dao. Which young lord of the Nether Realm? Is it that idiot who was backfired by the dark Yin Holy Flame and screamed so loudly that the whole Shushin continent knows about it? Pfft. Star Wolf's words make many spirit cultivators and devil cultivators present laugh out loud. It's really that the image of Yun jumping around and running around after being burnt, and his embarrassing and cowardly appearance is too deeply engraved in people's hearts. On that day, there were also many people from the demon race, who are all very arrogant and blabbermouthed. Therefore, in less than 2 days, the news had spread and everyone knew about it. Yun's originally complacent face instantly distorts. He suddenly raises his hand, and a dark red flame sprout from his fingertips. A terrible pressure and oppressive murderous aura instantly permeates between heaven and earth. Han Yi and the other 2 people's faces all change, and they all take a step back. Yao Dao murmurs, "Third rank dark holy flame." Yun snorts and raises his chin, "Worthy of being one of the 4 demon generals of the hidden abyss, you really have some knowledge." The man beside Yun sneers, "Now you should know, right?" At that time, my young lord was not backfired by the dark holy flame, but just reached the critical moment of advancement. Now, the young lord has lived up to expectations, and has finally mastered the 3rd rank dark holy flame, and his strength is comparable to that of a venerable immortal. Who in the younger generation can compare to him? You are so arrogant, slandering the young master, slandering my netherworld. Do you want to taste the 3rd rank, dark sacred flame? The person who spoke was called Yu Qin. He was Wuji's trusted general, and his cultivation was profound. As he spoke, he released his pressure, causing the surroundings of the formless grand array to fall into absolute silence. Yun controlled the dark holy flame in his hand and let it drift towards Star Wolf. It was just a simple control. The Star Wolf's countenance instantly turned pale as the internal organs within his body seemed as if they were overturning a sea, and he actually almost knelt on the ground. This was the 3rd grade dark sacred flame, which was equivalent to the strength of an immortal venerable. Han Yi and Ing Mei's complexions change, and they're about to step forward. Yun's shoulder was pressed down by another slender white hand. Hee, why does young master have to stoop to their level? Don't forget what we're here for. Yun frowned when he heard the gentle voice, but he obediently put away the dark holy flame in his hand. Everyone's eyes couldn't help but gather on this person. It was a tall and skinny man. His facial features were handsome and elegant, but his eyes gave off an inexplicable sense of coldness and gentleness. He was wearing a robe that was completely different from the style of the netherworld. The color of the robe was bright, embroidered with strange totems. Chapter 2973. That totem isn't eye-catching at first glance, but looking at it carefully, it seems to contain thousands of worlds, making people dizzy. The man steps forward, cupping his hands towards the crowd. I am Mu Luyun, a priest appointed by Lord Yin of the Netherworld domain. Today, I followed the young lord because I heard that the sky pillar above the hidden abyss collapsed. Although this place isn't adjacent to my Netherworld domain, and the people who died weren't people of my Netherworld domain. But everyone has a responsibility to save the common people of the world. Although my Netherworld domain isn't involved, we don't dare to be content with a corner. As he speaks, he raises his hand. A small mustard seed magic weapon flies up to the sky. With the infusion of immortal power, the magic weapon becomes bigger and bigger. Finally, it falls to the ground with a loud bang, turning into a magnificent palace complex. Mu Luyun chuckles. Although Great Master Jing Yuan's non-phase array is safe, it's still too crude. Wouldn't it be unfair to the immortals and devil soldiers? This insignificant multicolor palace is a mustard seed magic weapon that I obtained in my early years. Although it can't be put on the stage, it can withstand all attacks from cultivators below the venerable immortal level. If you don't mind, why don't you go inside and take a rest, then discuss how to exterminate the starved ghosts. These words are humble and beautiful. The multicolor palace is 100 times more comfortable than the non-phase array. Whether it's the spirit cultivators or the devil cultivators, their impression of the netherworld domain immediately becomes a lot better. Especially the devil cultivators, who just had a fierce conflict with the polar domain. Although some people are trying to sow discord, they're still somewhat angry. The netherworld domain is different. The two sides have long been engaged, and during this time, they often advance and retreat together in alliance. At this time, they see that their attitude is kind and polite, in sharp contrast to the arrogance of the polar domain. They feel indescribably comfortable. The group quickly moves to the multicolor palace. The people of the polar domain are disgusted by Yuan's conduct. They'd rather stay in the non-phase array than enter the multicolor palace. Han Ye's eyes turn, and he shamelessly follows them inside. "Four devil generals, please take a seat." The devil soldiers must have been frightened these past 2 days. If you feel tired, you can find a palace to rest in. As soon as he entered the main hall of the colorful palace, Yuan sat on a high crystal chair. Mu Luyun stood behind him with a gentle and humble expression. Yu Chen, on the other hand, eagerly greeted Tianhe and the other three, and even carefully arranged for the demons to rest. This makes Han Yi narrow his eyes in confusion. One must know that Yu Chen's status in the nether domain was even higher than the four of them in the devil race. Moreover, his cultivation had already reached the celestial king realm many years ago. As a dignified immortal king, why would he lower himself to curry favor with the devil race? Could it be that the nether realm had already fallen to such an extent? "Hey, old man, are you plotting something?" Without waiting for Han Yi to think carefully, the outspoken Tian he loudly shouts, "The last time you saw the four of us, you old geezer, you still had eyes growing on top of your head. Why did he change his attitude in just a few days?" "Fuck off, fuck 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 off." Han Yi almost laughs out loud. Yu Chen's face twitches, the anger in his eyes almost bursting out. But he glances at Yuan, who is sitting on the crystal chair, and still manages to pull out a smile. General Tian, he must be joking. The devil domain and the nether domain have already united by marriage, and have set up a marriage contract. Chapter 2974. 1 second. Remember, LoveNet, to provide you with exciting reading. Speaking of which, our two families are on the same side. Isn't it only right for this old man to be polite and considerate to you? In the previous battle against the polar domain and the poltergeist ghosts, the demon sovereign and the generals all took great care of our nether domain. Our domain lord and young master have always been deeply indebted to them. Now we know that the marriage alliance between the demon race and our nether domain is sincere. Now that I think about it, our domain lord was too cautious back then, to the extent that. At this point, Yu Chen stopped talking and looked like he wanted to say something but hesitated. Tian, he glared at him with his copper eyes. "If you have something to say, then say it. I, your father, hate your pretentious looks the most." Shui Jie couldn't help but giggle. Lord Yu Chen said so much just to say the following words, right? Why are you so hesitant? Are you trying to play hard to get and wait for us to ask? A wine jug had suddenly appeared in the hands of the wine boy, and he raised his head to take a sip before he said lazily, "Since Lord Yu Chen doesn't want to speak, then let's not listen." Yu Chen was so angry that he almost vomited blood. When had he, a dignified elder of the nether realm, a trusted aide by Yin Wuji's side, been insulted like this? In his heart, he rained curses on these vulgar, rude, and stupid barbarians of the demon race. The fake smile on his face was almost gone. It was Mu Luyun who stepped forward and helped him out of the predicament. "Generals, you may not know this, but when the engagement was set, the domain master didn't know if the demon venerable was sincere, so she was too hasty in choosing the marriage candidate. Although, that person is also the domain lord's son, be it talent, ability, or appearance, he is no match for young Lord Yuan Yi. Now that the domain master is grateful for the demon exalt's sincerity in allying with our nether realm, he feels guilty and has decided to change the candidate of the demon race's princess from the original, to young Master Yuan Yi. From now on, my nether region and the demon region will forever be enemies. As soon as this was said, there was a commotion in the multicolored palace. Han Yi stares blankly at first, then he frowns deeply. Yin Yuanyi wanted to marry the devil princess. This was completely different from a random illegitimate son of Yin Wuji marrying a demon race princess. It should be noted that Yin Yuanyi was certain to become the future domain lord of the nether realm. Furthermore, he had already grasped the third rank, Dark Yin Holy Flame. If he married the demon princess, then the alliance between the nether realm and the demon realm would be unbreakable. Wasn't it said that the demon princess was born from a mortal cultivator and that her fate was unknown? How could someone as arrogant as Yin Yuanyi agree to marry a demon princess? Don't say that Han Yi is stupefied. Even the devil cultivators and spirit cultivators on the scene are somewhat dumbfounded when they hear this. Yao Dao frowned and said coldly, "Change the candidate for the princess marriage contract. Did you get permission from the honorable demon?" What? Could it be that you think this young lord is not worthy of your devil race's princess? Yin Yuanyi stood up and looked down coldly. His expression was arrogant and haughty, as if his willingness to marry the demon princess was the greatest charity. Tianhe, who had the worst temper, was instantly enraged. However, before he could slam the table and stand up, he was pulled back by the attentive Xue Jie. This was the multicolor palace, a Sumera mustard seed space. All the laws inside were almost completely controlled by the master of the mustard seed. Their lives were in the hands of the people of the nether realm. Yin Yuanyi saw that they didn't speak, and his expression became more and more complacent. What's more, others might not know, but don't the four of you know what kind of thing it is that the demon princess is marrying? Chapter 2975. At this point, Yin Yuanyi's face slightly distorts for a moment. His eyes are full of disgust and resentment, as well as a trace of imperceptible jealousy. That kind of waste doesn't even deserve the surname Yin. Don't even think about touching the netherworld in the future. You'd better think clearly about whether you want to marry your princess to this young master, or him. Yin Yuanyi thinks that his words are clear and clear. As long as the demon race has a little brain, they will know who to marry their princess. However, he doesn't realize how offensive his words just now are. So your nether realm just randomly found a piece of trash to fool the demon race princess. But before they can get angry, the whole multicolor palace suddenly shakes violently. As the master of the mustard seed space, Mu Liuyun's complexion turns pale, and a thin trace of blood suddenly flows from the corner of his mouth. What's going on? Mu Liyun says hoarsely, "The multicolor palace is under attack. I can't bear it." How? Isn't it said that the multicolor palace can withstand all attacks below the venerable immortal level? Han Yi thinks of Ing Mei, who is still in the non-phase array. His complexion changes greatly, and he rushes out of the palace. As soon as he gets outside, he sees the scene in front of him. Even though Han Yi is used to seeing wind and rain, he widens his eyes in shock, almost unable to breathe. Heavens! How can there be such big poltergeist ghosts? Someone also rushes out from behind Han Yi. Seeing the scene in front of them, their knees soften, and they almost kneel on the ground. The huge crack in the sky is now shrouded in the intersecting red and blue lightning. The whole vortex is distorted irregularly. The poltergeist ghosts that were falling from the hole are now twisted into minced meat by the distorted space, falling down in a flutter. But there are also some poltergeist ghosts that aren't torn apart by the distorted space. There are very few poltergeist ghosts like this, only 2 so far. But standing in front of Han Yi, they make him feel more terrible than facing thousands of small poltergeist ghosts. After the multicolor palace is activated, it is the size of a small imperial city. As the main palace, the palace is even more towering and imposing. However, the two poltergeist ghosts standing in front of the multicolor palace are twice the size of the entire palace. With a light step, the earth trembled violently. He casually waved his fist and smashed it against the protective shield of the multicolor palace. Mu Liuyun's face turned even paler. However, the two poltergeist ghosts ignored them. Instead, they kept grabbing the densely packed low-level poltergeists on the ground and stuffing them into their mouths. A series of teeth-numbing chewing sounds could be heard, along with minced meat and fresh blood spurting out from that bloody mouth. It caused the scalps of the people below to go numb, and their internal organs to churn, causing them to vomit. The two ghouls moved faster and faster. Before long, more than half of the originally densely packed nightmare ghosts were actually devoured by them. Han Ye's complexion is deathly pale as he looks in the direction of the non-phase array. He saw that the golden alms bowl and barrier that were meditating were long gone. He felt a buzzing sound in his head, and without thinking, he rushed out. Shadow Demon. Star Wolf. Where are you? Shadow Demon. Ingmei, can you answer me? Han Ye's voice seems hoarse and desperate amidst the bloody howls of ghosts. Unbeknownst to him, tears had already rolled down his face. At this very moment, there's only one thought in Han Ye's mind. If Ingmei dies, what's the point of him living alone in this world? Chapter 2976. Han Yi, I'm here. A low call came from the corner of the hill. Han Yi abruptly turns his head, only to discover that a cave has been dug out of the hill at some point. The cave was covered by piles of rubble. In his panic just now, he didn't notice it at all. At this moment, the rubble was pushed aside, and a faint golden light was emitted from within. Ingmei's face was behind the rubble. Han Yi doesn't even think about it as he rushes over and takes the person into his arms. His movements were too hasty and too fast. It was as if he had just lost his most cherished treasure. He hugged it tightly, unwilling to let it go for even a moment. Ingmei, Ingmei, I thought you, idiot. Ingmei cursed in a low voice, but there was a gentle smile in her voice. Am I not alive and well? Hurry up and let go of me. You're making a pile of gravel on me. Star Wolf snorted at the side. I'm also alive, but I don't see you giving me a look. Han Yi. Only then does Han Yi let go of Ingmei. He's just about to bicker with Xing Lang. Suddenly, a shriek comes from behind. Han Yi Darren, be careful. Han Yi sees that Ingmei and Xing Lang's complexions greatly change on the opposite side. He abruptly turned around and saw that one of the giant poltergeist ghosts had already arrived in front of him at some point. The mountain-like palm pressed down on them. The poltergeist's movements seemed to be very casual and not urgent at all. However, the speed at which it pressed down was extremely fast, creating a hurricane that reeked of blood. Ingmei injected her immortal energy into the golden alms bowl without hesitation. With a flash of light, a barrier enveloped the three of them. Bang! With a loud bang, the poltergeist's palm slammed onto the barrier. Inside, everyone from the polar domain felt their blood boil, and they almost vomited blood. At the same time, the other giant poltergeist had also eaten enough of its own kind. A pair of greedy, blood-red eyes turned and landed on the multicolored palace. Two giant palms slammed down at the same time. The formless great array shook violently, and then it suddenly shattered and disappeared. All the buildings in the multicolor palace made cracking sounds and instantly shattered into powder. The giant bloody palm reached down and grabbed lightly. More than 10 humans were caught in its palm and thrown straight into its bloody mouth. Ah! Help! I don't want to die. After coming back to their senses, everyone desperately cast spells to attack. However, when these attacks landed on the giant poltergeist's body, they actually only made sizzling sounds. Even though the ones attacking with all their might were the demon generals of Tianhe and the immortal King Yuqin. This was the flesh of the vampire being burned. This bit of burning couldn't do any damage to the two poltergeists that were larger than mountains. However, he had angered them. As a result, the second slap came down, and dozens of humans were caught and were about to be stuffed into their mouths. Ah! Shrill screams, wails, and desperate cries for help interweaved the land into a purgatory. Dark-Een sacred flame. Suddenly, someone shouted, "Rumor has it that the rank 3 underworld Een sacred flame is equivalent to the divine power of an immortal venerable. It can destroy all living things and overturn rivers and seas. Young Master Een, quick, use your dark Een sacred flame to attack the poltergeist ghosts." Een Yuan's face was pale, and his body was trembling slightly. Hearing the shout, he gritted his teeth and barely managed to activate the dark Een holy flame, slapping it toward the poltergeist ghost. However, the dark red flame only floated a few meters away from Een Yuan's palm and fell on the poltergeist's foot. Chapter 2977. Whoosh! A ball of flame rose from the poltergeist's foot. Instantly, a strong burning smell mixed with a fishy smell filled the air, almost making people faint. But instead of vomiting, the people present were happy. It's working. The dark Een holy flame is really effective. We're saved, young Lord Een, attack. But before they could cheer for a moment, the flame suddenly went out as if it couldn't continue. The people who were still cheering were dumbfounded. Roar! The poltergeist let out an earth-shattering roar, directly opened its bloody mouth, and swept over. Young Lord Een, quick! Release the dark Een holy flame again. Een Yuan, what are you waiting for? Een Yuan staggered back. He wanted to activate the dark Een holy flame again. But his eyes looked at the approaching poltergeist, smelling the fishy smell coming from its huge mouth. His hands trembled, his mind was in a mess, and he couldn't focus his divine sense. This dark Een holy flame wasn't cultivated by him. After reaching the third stage, it became more and more difficult to use. Now, in panic, he couldn't activate it at all. The poltergeist's sharp teeth were already close. Een Yuan screamed, grabbed several demonic cultivators next to him, and threw them into the poltergeist's mouth. He retreated as fast as he could. While retreating, he shouted, "Save me! Yu Chen, save this young lord! Don't care about those idiots!" Tianhe, Yao Dao, and the others watched their people thrown into the poltergeist's mouth, losing their lives. For a moment, they were seething with anger. But Een Yuan was the focus of the poltergeist's hatred. He couldn't escape, but pushing a few demonic cultivators out was not enough. When the poltergeist finished chewing the people in its mouth and rushed over again, he used the same trick. He ordered Yu Qin to send hundreds of people into the poltergeist's mouth with a palm wind. Among the hundreds of people, there were demonic cultivators and spirit cultivators. Een Yuan! How dare you! I'm going to fucking tear you into pieces. Tianhe's mind suddenly snapped, and without thinking, he rushed toward the poltergeist's bloody mouth. Tianhe! Tianhe, come back! On the other side, the people from the polar domain were also at a critical moment. Ingmei ordered his subordinates to hide in the cave and not come out. He, Han Yi, and Star Wolf rush out to attack the poltergeist and attract their attention. When the ghoul was attacked, it angrily targeted them. The movements of Ingmei and the other two were extremely agile. For the time being, the poltergeist ghosts couldn't do anything to them. But this giant poltergeist's intelligence was extremely high. Seeing that they couldn't capture the three ants directly, they changed their strategy and headed towards the hiding place of the Falling Moon tribe and the Ghost Killer tribe. Not good. Han Yi shouts. Without thinking, he fills the golden alms bowl and the long sword in his hands with immortal energy, and smashes them towards the poltergeist. Run! The poltergeist was hit by the alms bowl and the sword that were filled with immortal power, so it moved a little. There was a trace of pain and anger in his eyes. The people of the polar domain hiding in the hill hurriedly ran out. The poltergeist ghost lets out an angry roar, no longer paying attention to the people of the polar domain. Instead, it suddenly turns around, its scarlet eyes looking at Han Yi in the sky. At this time, Han Ye's immortal force is almost exhausted. He barely manages to endure the pain in his dantian, and he turns around, wanting to escape. However, at this moment, the poltergeist ghost suddenly opened its mouth and sucked in fiercely. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. The surrounding flowers, trees, gravel, and hills seemed to be sucked in by a tornado, all of them flying towards that bloody mouth. Chapter 2978. 1 second to remember 800 mail sign small divided by TalkNet, wonderful pop-up window free reading. Han Yi only feels that his body weighs 1,000 pounds, unable to fly any further. He is involuntarily swallowed into a bloody and dark space. Han Yi. Ing Mei lets out a hoarse roar, recklessly flying towards Han Yi. The situation is so critical, life and death are at stake. Despair, cowardice, or sorrow appeared on all of their faces. However, at this moment, two cold lights, one from above and one from below, one descends from the sky, the other rises from the ground. Descending in front of everyone. Boom! The bright ice blue light falls on the body of the poltergeist that is about to swallow Han Yi. In a split second, that huge body seems to be frozen, unable to budge an inch. Han Yi, who is struggling desperately, pounces towards the poltergeist ghost like a moth flying into a flame. Xing Lang, everyone from the polar domain stop moving, blankly looking up. There, a figure slowly descends like a god, landing in front of them. It's been so many years, so many years. On the surface, this person is aloof, but he has always done his best to protect them from any harm. On the other side, a pitch-black energy thread silently twines around the poltergeist ghost's huge neck. Then it suddenly tightens. With a spluttering sound, the poltergeist ghost's arm is cut in half. The black thread on its neck strangles its mouth, forcing it to open its mouth and spit out Tian He and the human that it was about to swallow just now. Tian He, who escaped death from the poltergeist ghost's mouth, and the wine boy, Yao Dao, and Xue Jie, who hurried over to save him, all look excitedly not far away. A black figure turns from illusory to solid, gradually appearing before everyone's eyes. Demon Lord. Xue Jie's eyes redden, and she is the first to kneel down. Greetings, Demon Lord. Yao Dao and the wine boy also kneel down. Greetings, Demon Lord. It takes Tian He a long time to come back to his senses, but when he wants to kneel down and pay his respects, Jun Shitian's figure has already disappeared. It should be said that Di Mingju and Jun Shitian's figures disappeared at the same time. Did the giant poltergeist ghost that was just frozen and had its hand cut off lose its fighting strength? Of course not. They quickly regained their freedom and stood back to back, baring their fangs at the two seemingly tiny humans. The two pairs of red and turbid eyes emitted the light of fear and resentment. In the eastern and western skies, two black figures floated in mid-air, facing each other from afar. The two of them did not exchange any glances or words. But when the giant poltergeist attacked, their movements were strangely synchronized. In the blink of an eye, the two men and two ghosts were engaged in a fierce battle. This kind of war was not something that anyone present could understand. Everyone looked up at the sky, but they only felt dizzy, as if they were dreaming. Demon Lord. Monarch. They are actually so strong, to be able to witness this magnificence. I can die without regrets. Someone stole a glance at Yuni and murmured, the third-level Dark Holy Flame is as powerful as an immortal venerable. Ha, I've finally seen it today. I think the Nether Realm is just a so-so, how can it be compared with the Polar Domain and the Devil Domain? Some demons sighed and murmured softly, if only the Polar Domain's monarch could agree to the marriage. Only such a strong person is worthy of our demon race's princess. Forget it, don't say any more, the Polar Domain is unwilling, do we still have to rush? Chapter 2979. Humph, even if it's not the Polar Domain sovereign, it can't be that good for nothing Yuni. What Dark Holy Flame, bah. Although these voices were low, how could a cultivator not hear them? Yuni's face turned blue and white, and the hatred in his eyes was almost overflowing. But what he hated the most at this time was not Di Mingju and Jun Shirtian who stole his limelight and made him a laughingstock. But it was Luo Yunxiao. He had already determined that Luo Yunxiao refused to give him the complete Dark Holy Flame, and schemed against him in every way, so that his strength could not reach his expectations. So that he made a fool of himself in front of so many people, in front of the demon race. Yuni gritted his teeth and said, Yu Qin, tell prison that if Luo Yunxiao doesn't suffer enough this time, they must not let her go. Otherwise, it will be hard to get rid of the hatred in my heart. Yu Qin looked at Yuni with a complicated expression, secretly shaking his head, but still respectfully replied, Young master, rest assured, prison knows what to do. As they spoke, the battle in front of them reached its climax. Under the joint forces of the Emperor and the Demon Venerable. Even these two giant ghosts, who ran amok, were constantly howling in pain, finding it more and more difficult to hold on. Finally, a blue sword light and a black saber light fell down. The two ghosts roared unwillingly at the sky and fell down heavily. Their bodies had long been chopped into pieces. But the strange thing was that after being killed, these two giant ghosts did not evaporate and disappear like the other ghosts. Even the blood on their bodies seemed to solidify, no longer flowing out. But they kept emitting a foul smell that made people's stomachs turn. Di Mingju and Jun Shirtian stood next to the two hill-like corpses of the ghosts, only a few feet apart. At this time, the two finally moved their eyes away from the corpses of the ghosts and fell on each other. The North Pole region, the southern netherworld, at the bottom of the hidden abyss, the demon world dominated. Two top experts of the Shushin continent. The two leaders of the forces that dominated the continent for thousands of years, who had been hostile to each other for thousands of years, met face to face for the first time. Just now, there were clearly cries shaking the sky, and the screams of the injured and the dead were still echoing in the ears. At this moment, the hidden abyss fell into a strange silence. Everyone kept quiet out of fear, not daring to breathe heavily. Di Mingju is sizing Jun Shirtian up. Jun Shirtian is also sizing Di Mingju up. The two of them looked at each other in silence for a long time. In the end, it's still Di Mingju who says indifferently, I've long heard of the revered demon's name. In the Shushin continent, many people believe that Jun Shirtian is the newly ascended Devil Lord. More than 10 years ago, he suddenly appeared in the hidden abyss. He had eliminated the imperial forces of the original demon region with a thunderous and ruthless method. In the end, he ascended to the position of the Demon Lord. Some people say that Jun Shirtian has an irreconcilable blood feud with the original Devil region's royal family. He had been dormant for thousands of years, and with a single move, he had come to take revenge. There are also people who say that Jun Shutian appeared in the Shushan continent for less than 10 years and that he is a genius rarely seen in 10,000 years. He was the demon of destiny who could truly lead the infernal region to the path of hegemony. However, none of this was true. Jun Shutian's true background and origins are only known to the core members of the devil race. As for the polar domain side, it was only because Elder Chang asked around that he had heard a little about it. Di Mingju only knows that this Jun Shutian has lived for far longer than him, even longer than Yin Wuji. Jun Shutian looks at the handsome young man in front of him, who doesn't seem to be immortal. Chapter 2980. Feeling the pressure and aura emanating from Di Mingju's body, it's not inferior to his own. In his heart, he can't help but exclaim and praise. However, before this praise could land on him, another thought suddenly popped up in his mind. Polar Domain's monarch rejected the marriage with the demon race without hesitation. Humph. Jun Shutian sneers in his heart, his eyes darkening. But since Di Mingju has greeted him politely, he naturally doesn't want to shed all pretense of cordiality in this time of crisis for the entire continent. Just as he is about to lightly reply, suddenly, a wave of energy comes from the eastern sky. Not long after, the flying boat lands, and Elder Chang and defeating armies lead thousands of Polar Domain elites down from it. Jun Shang, you're safe and sound, that's great. Elder Chang's eyes redden as he deeply bows towards Di Mingju. The rest of the people bow and kneel on the ground. Greetings, Jun Shang. Di Mingju sees that there are doctors among them, and his divine sense moves, come up and treat Great Master Jing Yuan. As he speaks, a young monk wearing a tattered kasaya appears in front of everyone. Who else could it be but Jing Yuan, who went with Di Mingju to mend the heavens? He's covered in injuries, his face is pale, and his aura is weak. Obviously, he's severely injured. But his face still hangs a gentle and benevolent smile, and his whole body seems to be shrouded in a sacred Buddhist light. Amitabha. Jing Yuan looks at Di Mingju and Jun Shutian, sighing, this poor monk is useless. Not only did I fail to mend the heavenly pillars, but I also became monarch's burden, almost failing at the last step. Now that I see the demon venerable here, if the two of you cooperate, you will surely be able to defy the heavens and change fate, and fight for a chance of survival for the tens of thousands of creatures in the three realms. Hearing Jing Yuan's words, everyone can't help but look up at the sky. They see that the huge crack above the hidden abyss is much smaller now, and no more poltergeist ghosts fall down. But the space around the crack distorts from time to time, and tiny vortexes appear. It's as if the entire enchantment, and even the entire sky, has become unstable, and will collapse at any time. Not good. Elder Chang is startled. Although the crack in the heavenly pillars has become smaller, the space has become distorted. If we can't mend the crack immediately, I'm afraid that the entire enchantment's eye will collapse. At that time, the heavenly pillars will collapse completely, and the three realms will truly have no chance of survival. When everyone heard this, their expressions changed greatly, and their hearts were filled with terror. However, there were some who did not panic at all and shouted loudly, "What are you afraid of? Don't you see that the crack has become much smaller?" Just now, the heavenly pillar had collapsed so violently that even an imperial lord could repair most of it. Now that we have the help of the honorable demon, we don't have to worry about not being able to fill up the sky. As expected, this person's words caused most of the people to reveal expressions of joy and anticipation. But soon, an anxious female voice rang out, "No. Jun Shang can't go to the crack in the heavenly pillar anymore." The voice was very unfamiliar, but it was as sweet and pleasant as the sounds of nature. Everyone couldn't help but look in the direction of the voice. On the divine traversing flying ship that had just landed in the polar domain, a peerlessly beautiful woman wearing a blue dress was slowly walking down. Many people gasped when they saw this person. It wasn't just because this woman was too beautiful. More importantly, someone had already recognized her. Is that the island master of Linglong Island, Fairy Yu Yenran? The only musician in the Shushan continent who has cultivated to the immortal king level. Furthermore, the Linglong Island that she leads is extremely powerful, not the slightest bit inferior to those first-rate clans and sections. Chapter 2981. Fairy Yenran is one of the top 4 beauties in the Shushan continent. Seeing you today, you are indeed as beautiful as a flower and as beautiful as the moon. Why would Fairy Yenran come to the hidden abyss? Now that this place is dirty and smelly, wouldn't it tarnish Fairy's jade feet? Along with the whispers of the crowd and the gazes of burning admiration. Especially Yin Yuani. The moment Yu Yenran appeared, his eyes seemed to be glued to her, and he couldn't move them away. His eyes were filled with greed and passion. But just as he was about to step forward, he was held back by Yu Qin. Yu Qin glanced at Jun Shirtian. Young master, don't be impatient, the bigger picture is more important. Have you forgotten why we're here? What did Priest Liu Yun's divination show? Yin Yuani glanced at Mu Lu Yun, then gritted his teeth and restrained himself. At this moment, Yu Yenran has already calmly walked in front of Di Mingju, gracefully bowing. Yenran greets Di Jun. It has been many years since we last met, but you still look as graceful as ever. Chi. I was wondering why Di Mingju would refuse the marriage alliance of my demon race. So it turns out that you already have a lover. Before Di Mingju could answer, Tianhe's voice, neither yin nor yang, already rings out. You even said that the world is not at peace and you have no heart to marry. Bah, I'll just say that you like beauties and already have the number 1 beauty as your mistress. Yu Yenran's face turned red and she scolded angrily, You, what nonsense are you spouting? The Celestial Emperor and I are innocent. TSK, he came down from the polar domain's exclusive divine traversing flying ship. Of course, we believe you. Xue Jie couldn't help but mock. Back then, there were so many talented youths, family heads, and sect masters that pleaded with Island Master Yu, but they were all rejected by him. If I remember correctly, the reason you used is similar to a certain someone, right? What do you mean by not avenging your parents or finding your family's sacred relic? TSK, it sounds really sincere and filial. Anyone who hears it will be moved to tears. So it's not that you don't want to marry, but you already have a lover who is secretly communicating with each other, and you're secretly having an affair. Yu Yenran's face was already red to her ears, but her expression seemed to have calmed down. She said with a sullen face, I know that your demon race wanted to marry Jun Shang but was rejected, so you hold a grudge in your heart and speak without thinking. However, matters of the heart cannot be forced. Why must you be so overbearing? Besides, this is a life and death moment for mankind. The devils are too narrow-minded and short-sighted to care so much about feelings. Yu Yenran's words immediately won the cheers of the spirit cultivators present. Well said, Fairy Yenran. Only someone like Fairy Yenran is worthy of our emperor. When I see Fairy Yenran and the Emperor standing together, I feel that they are a match made in heaven. What demon princess? Not to mention the fact that her beauty and strength couldn't compare to Fairy Yenran, the key point was that they hadn't even found her yet. If I were the Emperor, I wouldn't choose Fairy Yenran over a demon princess. Wouldn't that be stupid? The unrestrained words of the spirit cultivators made the faces of the people of the fiend race incomparably ugly. Right at this moment, someone sneered and loudly said, Have the demons forgotten something? Didn't they already set a marriage agreement with the Nether Realm long ago? Now they're still thinking about our emperor. Are they planning to marry 2 husbands? Hee hee, it's fine if the demons don't know shame, but we spirit cultivators still have our face. We can't afford to have such a fickle woman. Chapter 2982. Tianhe could not hold it in any longer. He pulled out his blood demon hammer and roared as he smashed towards the crowd. If you dare speak nonsense again, I will smash your mouth first. However, before he could rush out, he was grabbed by the back of his neck and pulled back. Tianhe was about to explode, but when he turned around and saw that the person pulling him back was Jun Shitian, he became listless. However, his tone was still indescribable as he gritted his teeth. Demon Lord, it was the spirit cultivators who bullied us too much. Jun Shitian said indifferently, I know. With that, he let go of Tianhe and grabbed the air. Only a cracking sound could be heard. The few spirit cultivators who said those nasty words just now had their necks broken. The entire place was silent. All the spirit cultivators looked at Jun Shitian in fear. It was as if they had just realized that the person in front of them was a ruthless and unreasonable demon lord. Those who submit to him prosper, or those who oppose him perish. However, this was not the end. Just as the few spirit cultivators were about to lose their lives, black smoke enveloped their bodies and quickly swallowed the starlight in their bodies. There was no sound around them, but everyone seemed to hear mournful screams of despair ringing in their ears. That was the pain of their souls being swallowed. Not only did these people die, even their souls dissipated. They would never have the chance to reincarnate ever again. SSS. Someone sucked in a breath of cold air, his legs trembling. Someone's face turned pale as he retreated. There were also people who were filled with righteous indignation, but their lips trembled for a long time. Not a single word came out. Yu Yanran regained her senses and immediately frowned. Demon Lord, what do you mean by this? Everyone was just gossiping, and you actually wanted to kill him. Now that a disaster is upon us, the demon race is so selfish and ruthless, aren't you afraid of retribution? Jun Shitian laughed coldly. Retribution? Who do you think you are? You dare to teach me a lesson? Yu Yanran said sternly. Demon Lord, have you never thought that your daughter is wandering outside, whether she is alive or dead, is because of your many unjust deeds? The heavens have sent down your punishment. If you really want your daughter to be well, you should be more benevolent and restrain your subordinates. Her voice stopped abruptly. Her beautiful face, which was originally full of righteousness, twisted and contorted in pain. A cloud of black smoke had wrapped around her neck without her noticing. He could easily take away her life and soul at any time. Yu Yanran desperately activated the immortal energy in her body to struggle. However, she discovered that with her strength as an immortal king, she didn't even have the slightest ability to retaliate against Jun Shitian. For the first time, Yu Yanran felt the fear of death. Her eyes redden, and she turns to look at Di Mingju. Her own pride made it impossible for her to say the words of prayer. However, 2 streams of tears rolled down her cheeks, making her look indescribably pitiful. Di Mingju frowns, looking at Elder Chang and Pajun defeating armies, hung his head in silence. However, Elder Chang coughed lightly and said awkwardly, Linglong Island belongs to our polar domain after all. Young lady Ute specially rushed over because she was worried about Lord's safety. We met on the way, so this subordinate decided to let her board the ship. About that, Lord, if you don't make a move, you'll really be killed by the Demon Lord. At that time, we won't be able to explain to Linglong Island. What's more, the ancestors of Linglong Island had a life and death friendship with our polar domain. Why don't you make a move and save her? Di Mingju coldly snorted, but in the end, he still raised his hand. A blue light shot out, and the black smoke wrapped around Yu Yanran's neck was instantly dispersed. Chapter 2983. 1 second. Remember, LoveNet, to provide you with exciting reading. Fuck. Deming Jew, your polar domain really wants to make life difficult for us demons, isn't it? Hee, what are you talking about? Could it be that the polar domain and the demon race were originally sworn enemies? If the Emperor doesn't make a move, could it be that he will allow you to kill his beloved? The demon race is the demon race, sinister, ruthless, and selfish. You want them to help repair the heavenly pillars? I'm afraid that before the poltergeist ghosts are completely exterminated, our spirit cultivators will be slaughtered to the last by the fiend race first. That's right. What's there to cooperate with? We might as well shed all pretense of cordiality and wipe out the entire devil clan in one fell swoop. The two sides quickly divided into two camps. The spirit cultivators all stood on the polar domain side with righteous indignation. As for the devil cultivators, they eagerly surrounded Jun Shirtian, constantly clamoring to tear apart every spirit cultivator. Eat their flesh and drink their blood. Tianhe, Wine Boy, Yao Dao, and Shui Ji all took out their weapons and stood on either side of Jun Shirtian. Their killing intent was accumulating. Even Yao Dao and Wine Boy were no longer courteous to him. To them, Jun Shirtian was a god, a faith. No one was allowed to insult his honor. The polar domain didn't want to fight. Firstly, the Shushan continent was currently in a crisis. The poltergeist ghosts were wreaking havoc and the people were in dire straits. The demons did what they wanted and did not care much about life and death. But the polar domain couldn't just stand by and watch as its people fell into dire straits. Secondly, Elder Chang and the others know that Di Mingju has been continuously replenishing Mayan with his divine essence. His strength was less than 70% of his peak. Master Jing Yuan was seriously injured when he repaired the heavenly pillar just now. Could it be that Jun Shang is completely unscathed? Obviously not. Di Mingju's injuries are very serious. He simply can't bear the burden of a high-intensity battle, or enter the crack of Tianzhu again. This was also the reason why Yu Yanran hurriedly came out of the flying ship to stop him. However, Elder Chang did not expect that. Not only did Yu Yanran not help, she even provoked the anger of both sides. The situation was out of control. Jun Shirtian was on the devil race's side. Unless Di Mingju makes a move, the people of the polar domain and the spirit cultivators here might be completely annihilated. Wouldn't that make Di Ming even more injured? At the thought of this, Elder Chang no longer cared about his pride. He took a step forward and bowed. Demon supremacy, please calm down. I'm afraid there's been some misunderstanding. Misunderstanding? Tian, he sneered, what misunderstanding? Could it be that your polar domain's reply to my demon race's rejection of the marriage alliance was true? Di Mingju doesn't intend to marry. Before the venomous ghosts are completely destroyed, he has to remain a bachelor forever. Elder Chang was about to speak. He heard a cold voice coming from behind him, I'm already married. Who do you think wants to be a bachelor forever? As soon as he said that, everyone present was dumbfounded. What? What? The Emperor was already married. Why didn't I know? Who is the polar domain's divine empress? Isn't that obvious? That was definitely Fairy Yanran. Other than her, who else could be worthy of God? Unbeknownst to them, Yu Yanran was 100 times more shocked than everyone else present. She abruptly turns her head to look at Di Mingju, wanting to ask, who did you marry? But her lips tremble for a long time, yet she can't make even the slightest sound. That's because a silhouette and a name naturally emerge in her mind. Jun Mayan. Yu Yanran's hands suddenly clench. Elder Chang touches his forehead. He's so worried that he wants to smash his head into tofu. Mobile users, please browse and read. For a better reading experience, please come to Zii. Chapter 2984. 1 second to remember, LoveNet, providing you with wonderful reading. Junshang, why are you being so honest at this time? Telling 1 or 2 lies won't make you lose a piece of meat. Why continue to stab the hearts of the demons? Sure enough, after the shock, the demons became furious. Good, Polar Domain. You really used an excuse to brush us off. What do you think our demon princess is? Clearly say that you are already married. Do you think we will shamelessly pester you? Polar Domain is really going too far. Today, we must seek justice for the demon lord and the princess. At this time, Yin Yuanyi also walked forward and respectfully saluted Jun Shirtian. Yuanyi greets the demon lord. Polar Domain is really going too far, daring to humiliate the demon lord and the princess. My nether domain and the demons are of the same breath. I really can't stand it anymore. I ask the demon lord to allow my nether domain to join the war and teach these shameless people of Polar Domain a lesson. With that, he also coldly looked at the people of Polar Domain gathered. You have big guts, daring to slander the princess' pure reputation. The princess is the only biological daughter of the demon lord, high and mighty, noble and extraordinary. Whoever can marry the princess is the good fortune of 3 lifetimes. Today, I swear, after returning to Nether Domain, I will beg my father to change the marriage contract. I, Yin Yuanyi, will marry the demon princess as my official wife. No matter when she returns, my Nether Domain's Nether Empress position will be kept for her forever. Looking at everyone's shocked expression, Yin Yuanyi hooked his lips in satisfaction. Today, he made such an oath in front of everyone, it can be said that he is extremely benevolent to the demon princess. Presumably, the entire demon race is already grateful to him in their hearts. In the future, Nether Domain is his. Demon Domain will also be his. As for that demon princess. So what if he gave the position of Nether Empress? As long as there is not enough strength to support it, in the end, it is just a decoration. If she is obedient, he will pamper her more. If she is not obedient, since she married into Nether Domain, it is not up to her, a mere woman, to decide. At that time, he was really blinded by greed, giving such a good marriage opportunity to Luo Yunxiao. Unexpectedly, he let her snatch away his destiny, and also suffered the pain of the Netherine sacred flame's backlash. Thinking of this, the smile on Yin Yuanyi's face became more and more complacent. After enjoying the attention of the crowd, he turned around and slowly bowed to Jun Shirtian, father-in-law, this son-in-law. However, before Yin Yuanyi finished his words, Jun Shirtian interrupted him coldly. Who said anything about changing the marriage agreement? Yin Yuanyi paused. You should know that the person who was engaged to the princess was just. Father chose this person to marry the princess as a stopgap measure. Yuchen also hurriedly added, back then, the infernal region and the nether region didn't understand each other, and the alliance wasn't strong, so there was such a candidate. But that person is absolutely not worthy of the princess. Our young master is the future master of the nether realm. Changing the marriage contract is of great benefit to the demon clan. Could it be that Yin Wuji didn't tell you? The corners of Jun Shirtian's mouth curled up as he ridiculed. What? I was the one who decided the marriage. Yin Yuanyi, who do you think you are? How dare you marry my daughter? Yin Yuanyi's arrogant smile froze on his face for a moment, and then it gradually became distorted. That person. Who does he think he is? He is not worthy to compare with me. I have the 3rd rank Darkeen Holy Flame. I am the young master of the Nether Realm. What does he have? For mobile users, please browse and read. For a better reading experience, please visit the Self-Love website. Chapter 2985. Having just witnessed his uselessness and cowardice, Yao Dao and the other three couldn't help but roll their eyes. Milky Way ruthlessly smashed his hammer towards Yin Yuani. Get lost, seeing you annoys me. No matter how bad that pretty boy is, he is still our princess's future husband. Do you think you can slander him? If Yu Qin hadn't pulled him back, Yin Yuani would have almost been hit by the blood devil hammer. Looking at his cowardly appearance, the demons who had already seen his true colors all snorted. Shui Jie giggled. Yin Yuani, you ask him what he has. Just based on that face and that aura, you've already lost completely. If our emperor's son-in-law is the bright moon in the sky, you are the mud that can't hold up the wall, the turtle that can't climb ashore. Allying with your nether realm is because we don't like the polar domain. It has nothing to do with a good-for-nothing like you. It's the same now. If you have any self-awareness, get lost right now. Don't disturb our battle with the polar domain. A good-for-nothing like you would be a hindrance to us if you help us. Shui Jie's words caused everyone to roar with laughter. Whether it was the demons or the people of the polar domain, they all looked at him as if they were watching a joke. Yin Yuani was already close to going crazy with anger. He wished he could pounce on Shui Jie and tear her face into pieces. These people dared to ruthlessly trample on his face in the mud. They said he was a good-for-nothing, said he couldn't compare to Luo Yunxiao. Moreover, it was in front of Yu Yanran. However, before Yin Yuani could rush out, he was firmly pulled by Yu Qin and dragged to the side. You good-for-nothing. Yin Yuani ruthlessly slapped Yu Chen's face. You just watched this young master be humiliated by them like this? Yu Chen's face twitched, burning with anger. In the nether realm, even Yin Wuji had to be polite to him. Yin Yuani, this good-for-nothing, was cowardly and incompetent, which made Jun Shirtian look down on him, and he even vented his anger on him. Yu Qin wished he could slap this idiot to death. However, thinking of the current situation, he took a few deep breaths and suppressed his anger. Young master, both the polar domain and the nether realm have the advantage in numbers. We can't afford to offend either side. Yin Yuani wanted to lose his temper. He hears Yu Qin coldly say, or could it be that young master wants to meet force with force against Di Mingju and Jun Shirtian? Yin Yuani immediately shut up. However, the anger and unwillingness in his heart could not be quelled no matter what, and he was almost tormented to the point of insanity. At this moment, Mu Liuyan's low voice sounded beside his ear. Young Lord Yuani, the polar domain and the devil domain have humiliated you like this. Do you want to take revenge on them and let them all die a horrible death? Yin Yuani's joke didn't ease the tension between the polar domain and the devil domain. However, the polar domain imperial guards were well trained. No matter how angry they were, as long as their commander did not give an order, they would not budge. On the devil race's side, after Jun Shirtian killed a few insolent spirit cultivators, he did not issue any more orders. Tianhe and the other three naturally did not dare to act rashly. For a moment, the scene once again turned into a war of words between the spirit cultivators and the devil cultivators. Di Mingju impatiently frowned. He simply had no interest in paying attention to this boring fight. At this moment, all of his mental power is concentrated on the void spirit ring on his finger. He can feel that Mu Yan has already reached the most critical juncture. He will never allow anything to happen to Mu Yan. Chapter 2986. 1 second to remember. LoveNet, providing you with wonderful reading. Wisps of pure God essence flew into the void spirit ring. Even if his body is getting weaker and weaker, and his injuries are getting more and more serious. Even if there are incomparably harsh and hopeless difficulties waiting for him to break through. Now, he must find a way to repair the crack in the heavenly pillars as soon as possible. That way, he can hurry to the Shuzhen continent and reunite with Mayan. However, looking at the increasing number of distorted cracks in the sky, a bad premonition surges in his heart. Just now, he seemed to have sensed an unusual aura from the crack in the heavenly pillars. He had also felt this aura when the poltergeist mutated and evolved in the Lingxi Valley. Jun, why is your aura getting weaker and weaker? Yu Yanran's voice suddenly rings, bringing Mingju back from his thoughts. He turns his head to look, only to find that Yu Yanran has already approached him at some point. A pair of beautiful eyes are filled with worry as they stare at him. Mingju says indifferently, Ben Jun is fine. Yu Yanran's line of sight falls on the void spirit ring between his fingers. Suddenly, her face changes greatly. Void spirit ring, you are transferring divine essence to someone. No wonder you were injured so badly. Her voice carries a sobbing tone. Who is so selfish that they actually let you transfer divine essence to them at this time? Jun, don't you know that doing this will put their lives in danger? Her trembling hand stretches out, seemingly wanting to touch Mingju's hand. But Mingju casually takes a step back and directly avoids it. Looking at her, his eyes carry a trace of aloofness and alienation. In fact, Mingju has always been like this. Aloof, cold, and unapproachable. In the past, Yu Yanran was used to it, and could also keep her dignity. But these days, every moment, she would think of the scene she saw in the soul shadow. This indifferent man, showing a gentle expression to the girl next to him. This Jun, who has never put anyone in his eyes, only has the shadow of that one person in his eyes. She has been silently watching over him for so many years. From the budding age, to the first awakening of love, to now, although she still has a youthful appearance, she is already 1,000 years old. So many noble families came to ask for her hand in marriage, so many young talents bitterly chasing after her, but she was not moved in the slightest. Only for this man to look back at her one day. She knew that she was still there, silently watching over him and loving him. However, this was the ending she had been waiting for. Yu Yanran's eyes welled up with tears as she sobbed, "Brother Aju, have you forgotten? We grew up together. When we were young, you risked your life to save me. Why did he have to be so distant from Yanran? You're injured, and I want to heal you. Can't I do that?" She said these words very softly, but they came from the bottom of her heart, full of sadness and emotion. Even the most stone-hearted man in the world couldn't help but be moved. However, Mingju only coldly glances at her, opening his mouth to say, "First, it wasn't risking my life, it was in passing. Second, Ben Jun is married, Hope Jade Island's master knows to avoid arousing suspicion. Third, can your medical skills compare to the polar domain's doctors?" Puff. Listening to their conversation from behind, Han Yi couldn't help but burst out laughing. "Jun Shang, don't be so cruel and merciless. These first, second, and third, aren't each sentence more pricking Yu Yanran's heart? Don't you see that Yu Yanran's complexion is already green, tears pouring down her face, her body on the verge of collapse, unable to hold on?" Mobile users, please browse and read. For a better reading experience, please visit Zii. Chapter 2987. He really doesn't know how to have tender and protective feelings for the fairer sex. Just at this time, another member of the devil race ridiculed the two of them. Yu Yanran finally exploded, "Shut up. Please don't spout nonsense anymore. I have nothing to do with the Emperor. The Emperor, the woman the Emperor wants to marry is someone else." As she spoke, tears of grievance and sadness finally fell from her eyes. Everyone was stunned and even forgot to quarrel. If the polar domain's divine empress is not Yu Yanran, then who could it be? My God! What sort of woman would make the emperor monarch abandon even the number one beauty of the continent? Look at Fairy Yenron's heartbroken appearance. Could it be that she was abandoned by the polar region's imperial lord? Huang Shouchuan had just arrived with the 12 nimble guards. When he heard the shocked discussions of the crowd, he was instantly enraged. Without thinking, she rushed down to support Yu Yanran. "Miss, what's wrong? Did someone bully you?" Yu Yanran pushed Huang Shouchuan away, wiped the tears off her face, and said solemnly, "I'm fine." Huang Shouchuan gritted his teeth and said, "Miss, since we're not needed here, why don't we go back first?" Yu Yanran glances at Di Mingju and bites her lip. In the end, she refuses to agree. At this time, Tian He, who is the most outspoken, feels that he has caught hold of Di Mingju's weakness. He immediately laughs wildly. "I heard that Di Mingju's father, Di Beixian, was famous for being dissolute and passionate. Those lovers, those illegitimate children, they are everywhere in the 3 realms. Except for Di Mingju, everyone else's aptitude is mediocre, and they died several hundred years ago. Tisk, tsk, tsk. Fortunately, our demon race is wise and didn't let the princess marry this kind of scum. From the looks of it, that pretty boy from the Netherworld region is much better than the Polar region's sovereign emperor." As he said that, he looked at Yu Yanran with a smile. "Island Lord Yu, you don't have to be in such a hurry to be sad. If I can't be the main wife, I can secretly be a concubine and give birth to an illegitimate child. Who knows, maybe the mother will become more powerful because of the child and get what I want. After all, the previous extreme domain divine empress didn't even last a few years before she died." As soon as he said this, everyone's expression changed. Devil Blade really wanted to rush forward and cover his mouth. However, he was still a step too late. As soon as Tianhe finished speaking, he felt his vision blur. He felt a bone-chilling coldness on his neck. A deep and cold voice slowly rang in her ears. "Repeat what you just said." Tianhe, who had never been afraid of anything, felt a chill run down his spine at this moment. He opened his mouth to speak, but suddenly felt a sharp pain in his chest. Then, something grabbed the demon core in his body, and strands of icy cold energy poured into the surface of the demon core. "Ah!" Tian He let out a shrill scream, and his face instantly turned ashen. "Let go of the Milky Way. Di Mingju, you dare to kill someone from my devil's domain." Yao Dao, Wine Boy, and Shui Jie roared and rushed forward. Star Wolf sneered, "Do you think there is no one in our polar domain?" Bang! The 2 sides clashed in an instant. At this time, Han Ye's complexion is also as cold as frost. He no longer has the calm and mischievous smile from before. "Insulting my polar domain's monarch and holy empress, and you still want to escape unscathed? Do you really think that our polar domain is a vegetarian? Isn't it just refusing to marry that impoverished princess of yours? Hee, you're already angry from shame." Wine Boy raged, "Who are you calling impoverished?" Chapter 2988. Star Wolf sneered, "We still haven't even found a shadow of the princess. If she isn't a ruined family, then what is she? Today, I can tell you, what demon princess, our Jun Shang is disgusting to death. He will never marry her, just give up." Boom! A black light flashed. Jun Shitian finally made his move. His first target was naturally Di Mingju, who was about to crush Tianhe's demon core. 2 figures instantly soared into the sky, intertwining. Elder Chang was worried about Di Mingju's body, anxiously shouting, "Jun Shang, Demon Lord, stop. Everything is just a misunderstanding." However, at this time, the people of the demon domain and polar domain were really in a killing frenzy. No one could listen to him anymore. Elder Chang anxiously looked at defeating armies. Defeating armies shook his head at him. Even if they knew that this was not the right time to fight with the demons. But the demons had already humiliated them, if they still blindly retreated. The polar domain would be trampled into the Earth's core, losing all dignity. Right now, it was no longer a matter of whether the Emperor and the Demon Lord wanted to fight. But both sides had no choice but to fight. Defeating armies withdrew his gaze, his eyes focused, waving his hand. Ghost Murder Division, follow me to kill the demons. Understood. Tianhe escaped from death. After the fright, he was seething with anger. Fuck. Polar Domain's bastards, do you think I am afraid of you? Sons of the demon race, go up for me. Kill all these despicable spirit cultivators. For a moment, battle cries shook the sky. Even if there were no ghosts, what awaited them would be rivers of blood, a disaster of annihilation. At this time, a strangely shaped flying boat sped over from the distant sky. Seeing the flying boat from afar, Tianhe couldn't help but be overjoyed. It's my demon race's imperial shuttle, our reinforcements have come. Ha ha ha, your polar domain is dead this time. The imperial shuttle of heaven landed. A dense army of demons, dressed in black uniforms, emerged from the Heaven Guard shuttles in a single file. At the sight of this, Elder Chang's heart sank. The divine power in his body slowly revolved, and he jumped a step forward. However, before he could make a move against the demons, he saw a familiar figure rush out of the Imperial shuttle, hurriedly running towards the center of the battlefield. Elder Chang immediately recognized that it was Elder Min Wei of the demon race. He was holding something in his hands, and his face was full of anxiety. He completely disregarded the tense atmosphere around him and shouted at Jun Shitian, Demon Lord, come and take a look. Young Master has a fever and is still unconscious. In the air, Jun Shitian hears this and pushes Di Mingju away with a palm. He completely disregarded the possibility of a sneak attack from behind. He flew towards the direction of Min Wei. Di Mingju knits his brows, his line of sight falling on the lump in Min Wei's arms. With a thought, Zhang Xian followed suit. Jun Shitian landed on the ground and asked sternly, "What's going on? Didn't I ask you to bring him back to the demon domain to take care of him? This subordinate doesn't know either." Min Wei frowned. Little young master suddenly became like this. We're not spirit cultivators, so we can't see anything. That's why I had no choice but to bring the young master to you, Demon Lord. As he spoke, Min Wei lifted the black cloth covering his shoulders. A little boy who looked like he was carved out of jade appeared. The little boy's eyes were half closed, and his face was flushed. His expression was blurry and painful, as if he was suffering from some kind of torture. But even so, his little face still looked so calm and mature. Elder Chang, who had just rushed over and saw this scene, stopped in his tracks. He cursed in his heart, and his whole body froze. Chapter 2989. On the other side, the little boy seemed to sense a familiar aura fluctuation, and he slowly opened his eyes. Her icy blue eyes blinked weakly and gradually focused. Jun Shitian frowned. He took a step forward and was about to check the little boy's dantian. The little boy suddenly reached out his hand. His exquisite and beautiful little face revealed a softness and fragility that could melt a person's heart. Her voice was soft and hoarse, filled with endless grievance and longing. Jun Shitian's originally ice-cold heart suddenly felt as if it was soaked in hot spring water. It could no longer be cold and hard. He stretched out his hand to catch the little fellow who had leaned over. Unexpectedly, the small body passed by him and pounced on him. In Di Mingju's bosom. Father! Xiao Bao tried hard to suppress the urge to cry, but his tears still flowed out like pearls from a broken necklace. Daddy, Xiaobao finally found you. Jun Shitian's hand froze. Min Wei abruptly turns his head, looking incredulously at Di Mingju, then at Xiaobao. He could almost hear his neck crack. What? What's going on? This little boy they picked up on the road, the only one whom they, the Demon Lord, looked favorably upon, was actually the son of the Polar Domain sovereign. Wait a minute. When did the Polar Domain Empyrean Lord have a son? At some point in time, the noisy battlefield quietened down. Whether it was the spirit cultivators or the devil cultivators, whether it was the people from the Polar Domain or the people from the Devil Domain, all of them looked at the scene in front of them with a dumbfounded expression. What was going on? The heaven-soaring shuttle of the devil race had arrived, not to help them in battle, but to deliver a baby to the Devil Lord. But the little baby who was delivered threw himself into Di Mingju's arms and called Daddy. Wait a minute, what relationship did this little doll have with the devil race? The people of the Polar Domain were even more confused. Didn't Little Master go missing? Why was he together with the devil race? From the looks of it, the Demon Lord was treating their young master very well. So, should they fight or not? Seeing this scene, Yu Yanran felt as though she had been struck by lightning. His body swayed slightly, almost unable to stand firm. Miss, are you all right? Yu Yanran grabbed Huang Shouchuan's hand tightly and said in a hoarse voice, how is this possible? How could he really be married? How could he have a son? Di Mingju, how can you get married? How could she have a son with Jun Mayan? How can you be worthy of my many years of silent protection and waiting? Tears streamed down her red eyes once again. Compared to the sadness from before, the tears this time were more of the despair from the many years of waiting for nothing. Seeing Yu Yanran like this, Huang Shouchuan felt his heart wrench. Miss, don't be sad. There are still a lot of strange things in this matter. Didn't we send people to Yanwu continent to investigate? Very soon, there will be news back. What's more, so what if that Jun Mayan really gave birth to a son for the emperor? Huang Shouchuan's eyes emitted a faint cold light. He's just the son of a lowly female cultivator. How could he have the qualifications to become the successor of the Polar Domain? Miss, you still have a chance. At this moment, Xiaobao's soft little hands are tightly wrapped around Di Mingju's neck, unwilling to let go for even a moment. He kept telling himself that he was already a man and that he shouldn't cry anymore, but the grievance and worry in his heart made it impossible for him to pretend to be strong. Chapter 2990. Daddy, Mother, she's in so much pain. Xiaobao is so worried about her. Father, do you think Mother will be all right? Di Mingju extends his hand and carefully wipes away the tears on Xiaobao's face. His usually grave and stern face is stained with a gentleness that has never been seen before. Naturally, it's nothing. I absolutely won't let anything happen to Mayan. Really? When has your father ever lied to you? Xiaobao wiped away his tears and nodded heavily. Xiaobao believes in Daddy. Di Mingju transmits his spiritual energy into Xiaobao's body. Once he's sure that he's a little better, he slowly lets out a breath. He knows that Xiaobao and Mu Yan, mother and son, are connected. Xiaobao can also feel the pain that Mu Yan is suffering. His small body can't bear such heavy worry and fear, so he has a fever. Touching his still somewhat hot forehead, Di Mingju asks softly, do you want to return to the Shuzhen continent? Xiaobao nodded, then shook his head. Tears slid down his face, but he quickly wiped them away. Xiaobao misses Mother, very, very much. But little Treasure knew that Daddy couldn't leave right now. Xiaobao remembers what Daddy said. The Polar Domain is Daddy's responsibility, and it is also Xiaobao's responsibility, so I can't leave now. Di Mingju's heart aches. and he lowers his head to kiss him on the forehead. The void spirit ring on his finger emitted a dazzling light that enveloped the two of them. It was as if the three of them had always been together and had never been separated. Defeating armies and the others no longer cared about fighting and hurried over. After examining Xiao Bao for a long time and confirming that there were no injuries on his body, he heaved a long sigh of relief. Your subordinates have failed in their task and caused Little Master to encounter danger. Please punish us. Defeating armies kneeled on the ground. Those from the Falling Moon tribe and the Ghost Killer tribe who were responsible for protecting Xiao Bao also knelt down. Xiao Bao shook his head. Uncle Pajun, please get up. I'm fine. Soon after, as if he suddenly thought of something, he turned his head to look for Jun Shirtian and said, Father, it was Uncle Black Robe who saved Xiao Bao. He even sent Xiao Bao back. Her big eyes glanced at Jun Shirtian and suddenly flashed, Uncle in Black, this is my father. Thank you for helping Xiao Bao find Daddy. Jun Shirtian, he was still in a daze. The honor demon, who had always remained calm even when Mount Tai collapsed in front of him, was still in a daze. He didn't expect that this little baby, who had made him feel inexplicably amiable at first glance, was actually Di Mingju's son. When did Di Mingju have a son? Daddy, Uncle Blackrobed is a very, very good person. But Xiao Bao saw you two fighting just now. Why are you fighting? These words are directed to Di Mingju and also to Jun Shirtian. For a moment, the most superior big shots on both sides were speechless. Xiao Bao breaks free from Di Mingju's embrace. He slowly walked towards Jun Shirtian. Pulling the hem of his shirt, she raised her head. A pair of icy blue eyes stared unblinkingly at Jun Shirtian. Uncle Black Robe, Xiao Bao misses mother. But, if we don't kill all the poltergeist ghosts, Father can't accompany Xiao Bao to find Mother. Uncle Black Shirt, don't fight with Daddy. Let's kill the poltergeist ghosts together, okay? Xiao Bao usually only behaves like an ordinary 6-year-old child in front of Di Mingju and Mu Yan. But at this moment, facing Jun Shirtian, he unconsciously revealed the expression of a spoiled child. Even the ice-cold Xiao Bao could be so adorable. Not to mention this soft and adorable little baby, who is anxiously looking at him. Chapter 2991. Jun Shirtian only felt that his killing intent and viciousness that wanted to beat Polar Domain into a sorry state has disappeared without a trace. Not to mention Jun Shirtian, even Min Wei who protected Xiao Bao all the way. Seeing this snow jade-like little baby pleading, his heart is about to melt. He really wishes he could bring all the best treasures in the world in front of him. Fine, 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 I won't fight anymore. Min Wei said, young master is right, what's the point of fighting and killing? What kind of joke is this? Tianhe bellowed, Polar Domain humiliated our demon race princess like this, and we just let it go like this? Why should a little baby say not to fight, I.O.? Before he finished speaking, Min Wei already took out a silver hammer that is 10 times bigger than the Blood Devil hammer and ruthlessly smashed it on Tianhe's head. You shut up. In this current situation, there is no way you can't help but add fuel to the fire. Just you wait, when we return, see how I'll take care of you. As he scolded, he used the silver hammer to smash Tianhe's body. Tianhe screamed from being smashed, covering his head and scurrying away like a rat, not daring to retaliate. Min Wei smashed until he was satisfied, then kept his silver hammer. When he faced Xiao Bao, he immediately restored his kind and amiable smile. I really didn't expect that young master's father is actually the Polar Domain's sovereign lord. Truly like father like son. I wonder where young master's mother is. If she is in danger, my demon race can also lend a hand. Cough cough. Elder Chang coughed lightly and walked forward, Min Wei, enough. Now is not the time to talk about this. Right now the nightmare ghosts are wreaking havoc. The heavenly pillar has not been completely repaired. If our two sides fight like this, it would be too outrageous. Min Wei laughed and said, Elder Chang, long time no see. You also know that our demon race has always been outspoken. If we offended your polar domain, please don't take it to heart. Elder Chang, our polar domain is also in the wrong. Xing Lang's face is calm, he still wanted to speak. Elder Chang covered his mouth and slapped him to the side. Then he said with a smile, so, both sides stop fighting. Min Wei glanced at Jun Shirtian. Seeing that Jun Shirtian has no intention to oppose, he immediately laughed and said, looking at the young noble's face, I won't hit him. Come, let's sit together and discuss how to repair the crack and kill the poltergeist ghosts. As a result, the two sides that were fighting to the death just a quarter of an hour ago were now in a completely different situation. A quarter of an hour later, they were forced to gather together to discuss the great plan of mending the heavens. Amitabha. Due to his severe injuries, Master Jing Yuan was unable to stop the battle. At this moment, he chanted a Buddhist proclamation and revealed a gratified smile. Emperor Lord, you really have a good son. He had inexplicably eliminated an apocalyptic calamity without a trace. Moreover, based on the young boy's appearance and bones, he actually possessed a rare immortal physique, and he had gathered the great karmic luck of the heavens and the earth for his entire life. Such a person, regardless of good or evil, had a high chance of influencing the direction of destiny in the future. Min Wei and several other demons look at Di Mingju in displeasure, as well as the well-behaved Xiao Bao in his arms. I'm so jealous. Why can Di Mingju give birth to such a cute baby? Why haven't they found their princess yet? If they find her, she can quickly give birth to a baby like the young noble for them to play with. The polar domain side also feels honored. Chapter 2992. The polar domain's people share the glory. What kind of person is their Di Jun? His flesh and blood are naturally the most outstanding in the world. The demons are jealous, right? Jealous to death, the little master is also from their polar domain. Apart from Elder Chang, Han Yi, and a few others who are in the know, almost no one doubts that Xiao Bao isn't Di Mingju's biological son. Why? Because they have an almost identical pair of ice blue eyes. Although there are quite a few people in the three realms who have the same eye color. This was because the minute movements and expressions between their movements were almost exactly the same. Even though the two of them don't look alike. Di Mingju's facial features are hard and deep, while Xiao Bao is more delicate and delicate. But how could these two people not be father and son? On the contrary, Elder Chang and the others are well aware that before their Jun Shang met Miss Jun, he had never been close to any woman. Calculating from Xiao Bao's age, 6 or 7 years ago, Di Mingju was in seclusion in the polar domain. He hasn't come out for more than 10 years. Therefore, no matter what, Xiao Bao can't be Di Mingju's child. They hadn't even thought of such a thing. Only defeating armies. Only he looks at this scene and listens to everyone's discussion, his hands tightly clenched into fists. He can't delay any longer. As soon as this matter is settled, he must immediately go to the Yanwu continent to investigate the truth of that year. Heavenly Pillar has 4 cores, it stands to reason that 4 immortal venerables are required to enter the crack at the same time to repair it. But with the cultivation of Di Jun and the demon venerables, repairing 2 hearts at the same time wouldn't be a difficult task. The only thing worth worrying about is that once Heavenly Pillar's repair begins, those vortexes formed by the spatial distortions will disappear. The poltergeist ghosts will once again fall in an endless stream. If 2 more rank 4 poltergeist ghosts appear, I'm afraid that it would be extremely difficult for us to deal with them. The two poltergeist ghosts that nearly wiped out everyone just now are rank 4 poltergeist ghosts that haven't appeared for thousands of years. At that time, above the hidden abyss, there were the 4 demon generals, Tianhe, Yao Dao, Jiu Tong, and Shui Jie, as well as the 3 leaders of the Polar Domain's Imperial Guard. But facing 2 rank 4 poltergeist ghosts, they're practically powerless. Hollow Immortal, Golden Immortal, Profound Immortal, Immortal King, Immortal Venerables, Immortal Emperor. It could be said that those under Venerables have no power to retaliate in front of rank 4 poltergeist ghosts. This was because an attack below the Immortal Venerable realm could not cause any fatal damage to a rank 4 poltergeist ghost. However, as long as one reached the Immortal Reverent realm, the invincible defense of the level 4 poltergeist ghosts would be broken, and killing them would be extremely simple. This is also the reason why Di Mingju and Jun Shitian could easily kill the 2 poltergeist ghosts that had forced tens of thousands of people into a dead end. The crack in the barrier reopened. If it was a poltergeist ghost that was below rank 3, these people would have more than enough to deal with it. But if 2 more rank 4 poltergeist dropped, Amitba. I've already recovered some of my dermic powers. Although I can't help the Imperial Lord and the Demon Supremacy to mend the heavens, I should be able to protect everyone if it's just dealing with the 4th stage poltergeist ghosts. This is great. Master Jing Yuan is an immortal venerable. Even if a rank 4 poltergeist comes, he can deal with it. Jing Yuan looks at Di Mingju again. It's just that Di Jun was seriously injured in order to save this poor monk. I don't know. Not waiting for the little monk to finish speaking, Di Mingju already gets up and says, Ben Jun is fine. Since we've already confirmed it, let's end it quickly. These words were directed at Jun Shitian. Chapter 2993. These words were directed at Jun Shitian. His tone was very impolite. The devils were filled with anger again. Tianhe almost sent out his blood demon hammer again. However, Minwei managed to restrain himself in the end. Xiao Bao raises his head to look at Di Mingju. His little face is ice cold, but his big eyes flicker with reluctance, worship, and attachment. Daddy, be careful. Di Mingju rubs his head, wait for Daddy to come back. Yes. Xiao Bao nodded heavily. He then looked at Jun Shitian, Uncle Black Robe, you be careful too. Jun Shitian ignored him with a cold face. Before he left, he glanced at Minwei. Minwei immediately understood and said with a smile, relax, relax, this subordinate understands. The people of the Polar Domain are clumsy and can even lose people in the Polar Domain's land boundary. It's impossible to count on them. This subordinate will definitely look after the young master. I will not let any poltergeist ghosts harm him. The people from the Polar Domain almost spat out a mouthful of blood. What did he mean by them being clumsy? What do you mean you can't count on them? This was their little master, not a member of the Devil Clan. Why did they need this group of demons to overstep their boundaries? Di Mingju and Jun Shitian didn't say anything else and directly rushed up to the horizon. As the 2 figures disappeared behind the pitch-black crack, the vortex in the sky that was formed by the distortion of space slowly disappeared. The poltergeist ghosts that had been continuously crushed started to fall one after another. In just a few moments, this area was once again filled with poltergeist ghosts. Of course, no one would be stupid enough to fight against these densely packed poltergeist ghosts head-on. Before the crack was completely mended, the poltergeist ghosts were inexhaustible. Even if he used his immortal power to incinerate it here. These poltergeist ghosts were not really dead, but they would turn into a pool of blood and seep into the soil. Soon after, he would be reborn somewhere in the Shushan continent. What's more, Ghoul's fangs and claws were poisonous. Once the skin was scratched, it would be infected. Without the Heaven Spirit detoxification pill, he would soon become a monster like the poltergeist. Although the polar domain had brought a lot of Heaven Spirit detoxification pills, it was not inexhaustible. They would have to be idiots to rush out and face the horde of poltergeist ghosts head-on. Thereupon, the grand phaseless array was once again propped up. Looking at the ferocious ghouls baring their fangs and baring their sharp teeth. For the first time, the spirit cultivators and devil cultivators found them adorable. Compared to the Class 4 poltergeist, dealing with these Class 1 and Class 2 poltergeists was too easy. All they needed to do was to sit here and watch them put on a good show. In the corner of the formless great array, the people of the nether domain stood there with ugly expressions on their faces. It was as if he was isolated by everyone present. No one was counting on them to repair the crack in the heavenly pillar. Even when dealing with the poltergeist ghosts, everyone followed Grandmaster Jing Yuan, the polar domain, and the demon's lead. No one cared about them at all. They were one of the top 3 forces in the world of cultivators, the netherworld. Yu Qin was a master at the Immortal King realm, and Yin Yuani had the 3rd grade Dark Yin Holy Flame. But at this moment, they were completely ignored. How could the people of the nether realm, who had always thought highly of themselves, endure this? But in the end, who was to blame? The people of the nether realm glanced at Yin Yuani from time to time. It was all because of Yin Yuani's extremely useless performance when the Class 4 poltergeist ghosts attacked. The effect of the Dark Yin Holy Flame couldn't be exerted at all. Chapter 2994. Afraid of death, he used spirit cultivators and devil cultivators as shields. Even 2 people from the nether realm were pushed into the mouths of the poltergeist ghosts by him. Such a coward was actually the young master of the nether realm. Compared with Di Mingju, who was in his prime in the polar domain, and the 7-year-old heir who was treated differently by the demon venerable. If they were the demon venerable, they wouldn't marry their daughter to this kind of trash. Everyone couldn't help but shake their heads in disappointment. Even Yu Chen's attitude towards Yin Yuani became colder and more impatient. Yin Yuani was so angry that his heart, liver, spleen, lungs and kidneys were about to explode. He gritted his teeth and stared at Mu Luyun, transmitting his voice. Is this what you meant by watching them suffer heavy casualties, and then sitting back and reaping the benefits? Mu Luyun chuckled. Young master, don't worry. The show hasn't started yet, has it? He slowly stretched out his hand and handed a small black porcelain bottle to Yin Yuani. Young master, you just need to pour the contents of this bottle on the 2 dead poltergeist ghosts. I promise you, you will get what you want soon. Yin Yuani took the bottle and looked at it suspiciously. There was no spiritual power fluctuation or talisman marks on it. It was as if it was just an ordinary porcelain bottle. Yin Yuani frowned. What is this? Hee, as I said, this is a good thing that can make young master's wish come true. Yin Yuani glanced outside the barrier. At this time, more and more poltergeist ghosts fell from the crack. They were so densely packed that the ground was almost full. Even in the abyss, poltergeist ghosts fell from time to time. But the strange thing was that there was nothing around the bodies of the 2 4th-rank poltergeist ghosts. Those low-rank poltergeist ghosts seemed to be afraid of something and naturally took a detour. Yin Yuani said unhappily, why don't you pour it yourself? With so many poltergeist ghosts outside, he didn't want to go out of the non-phase great array at all. Mu Luyun raised the corner of his mouth sarcastically. This kind of idiot, if not for his special identity, might be useful. He didn't even want to talk to him. His face didn't show the slightest emotion, and his smile was still gentle and feminine. If young master is worried about being haunted by the poltergeist ghosts, you only need to take this pill that can temporarily hide your breath. Mu Luyun took out a small pill and handed it to Yin Yuani. His low voice carried a hint of bewitchment. Whether it is the polar domain or the demon race, they all look down on you and humiliate you without the slightest scruple. Young master, don't you want to push them into hell with your own hands, then stand by the side and watch them cry and howl in despair? Yin Yuan's eyes suddenly became misty and resentful. He murmured, yes. This young master will personally push them into hell. I want them to know the consequences of offending me. He swallowed the medicinal pill in one gulp and tightly gripped the porcelain bottle in his hand. Under Mulyoyin's cover, he quietly left the barrier. Debi Temple is in the far east. Why would Master Jing Yuan come to the southwest? Amitba. Jing Yuan smiled faintly, a hint of nostalgia on his handsome face. This poor monk heard news of senior brother, so I came to look for you. Elder Chang was taken aback. Everyone knew that Bodhidharma of Debi Temple had 3 disciples. The youngest was Jing Yuan. The most powerful one was Buddhist monk Shan Hui, who was the true ruler of Debi Temple. The second disciple, whose Buddhist name was Wu Che, disappeared many years ago. So far, no one knew where he went. Chapter 2995. 1 second. Remember, LoveNet, providing you with wonderful reading. Hanyi can't help but ask, did you find him? Jing Yuan smiles bitterly and shakes his head. I'm sorry. It's all right. The little monk puts his palms together, his expression calm and solemn. Master once said, everything is up to fate, nothing can be forced. This little monk has gotten used to it over the years. Used to looking for him as soon as he hears the news. However, he always finds that it's just an empty joy. Elder Chang smiles gently. Debi Temple has been delivering all living beings from suffering all these years with compassion in its heart. I believe that good people will be rewarded. One day, we will find Master Wu Che. Boom! Before Elder Chang's voice falls, the earth suddenly trembles violently. In fact, because there are so many poltergeists jumping around, the ground has been slightly shaking. But this time, the tremor is completely different. Everyone raised their heads to look. Heavens! This can't be real. Why are there rank 4 poltergeists? Outside the non-phase array, 2 huge poltergeists, as tall as mountains, stand there. Their turbid eyes are staring at everyone here. Han Yi looks around, and his complexion suddenly changes. Where are the corpses of the 2 rank 4 poltergeists? Everyone looks and is also shocked. That's right. Weren't the corpses of the 2 rank 4 poltergeists lying there just now? Why are they gone? Did they not die just now? Could it be that the rank 4 poltergeists can't be killed? Then, what should we do? Aren't we dead for sure? Jing Yuan waves his hand, and the non-phase golden alms bowl falls into his hand. He injects his divine sense into the alms bowl, and the non-phase array that shrouds the surroundings immediately disappears. Countless poltergeists are howling and about to rush in. The people inside are suddenly in a mess. Many people have already let out shrill screams and are about to flee in panic. Everyone, please listen to this poor monk. Jing Yuan holds the alms bowl and says in a clear voice, don't panic, form a formation in 3s and 4s, and try to ensure that you won't be hurt by the poltergeists. As for these 2 giant poltergeists, this poor monk will do his best to resist them. Since this poor monk promised Di Jun and Demon Zun to protect you, this poor monk will never go back on his word. He pursed his lips, his expression cold and solemn. At this moment, that slightly immature face actually revealed a trace of solemnity that made people want to prostrate themselves in worship. The panicking crowd gradually calmed down because of his words. At this time, Han Yi also shouted, those whose cultivation is below golden immortal, gather around me. Tian, he harumphed and also shouted, those demons who aren't strong enough, obediently come over and hide. Don't get in the way. Not long after, the chaotic situation was stabilized. The panic in everyone's hearts gradually subsided. In the corner, when Mu Luyun saw this scene, the corners of his lips curled up faintly. Do you think that this is the end? No, this is just the beginning. He raises his head and looks at the huge crack. For the first time, his feminine voice carries a hoarse excitement. I really didn't expect that it would be so easy to catch Di Mingju and Jun Shitian in one fell swoop. I really have to thank you. I believe that Master will be happy to see this scene, ha 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 ha. Jing Yuangang heaved a sigh of relief as the situation was gradually under control. Suddenly, a strange energy fluctuation came over, causing the circulation of his body's magic power to stagnate. Jing Yuan's heart thumped, and a bad premonition suddenly welled up inside him. Just now, in the crack of Heavenly Pillar, before he was injured, he felt this extremely strange energy fluctuation. Mobile users, please browse and read. For a better reading experience, please visit Zii. Chapter 2996. Jing Yuan was still thinking about what this aura that was completely different from normal poltergeist ghosts' energy waves was. He felt that his internal organs had been severely injured. By the time he came to his senses, he was already powerless to retaliate. If Di Mingju hadn't saved him in the nick of time, he would have already breathed his last. Now that this energy fluctuation had appeared, what did it mean? Jing Yuan's doubts were quickly answered. In the sky, a huge gust of wind suddenly swept up. All the spiritual qi, immortal qi, devil qi, and even the murderous aura of the poltergeist ghost seemed to be pulled by an invisible hand and mixed together. In an instant, an energy storm was formed. The formation that was originally arranged was blown away. The people inside didn't even have the chance to scream before they were devoured by the poltergeist ghosts. For a time, wailing and wailing filled the air above the hidden abyss once more, and it was a tragic sight to behold. Defeating armies didn't care about other people's lives, and he didn't even pay close attention to the safety of the people from the polar domain. He just hugged Xiao Bao tightly and swung the sword in his hand, killing the poltergeist ghosts that pounced on him. Min Wei had originally wanted to rush over to protect Xiao Bao. Seeing that defeating armies had protected him so well, he heaved a sigh of relief and focused on dealing with the poltergeist ghosts. Among the polar domain's 4 guards, defeating armies had always been the most low-key. Usually, he hides by Di Mingju's side like a shadow, making people almost forget his existence. But only now did Min Wei realize how strong defeating armies was. He was probably not much weaker than Master Jing Yuan, right? As soon as this thought flashed through his mind, Min Wei tossed it to the back of his mind. Now that it was a matter of life and death, the most important thing now was to wait for the Demon Venerable and Imperial Emperor to repair the heavenly pillars and survive this ordeal. Defeating armies cleared out a large number of poltergeist ghosts, but he did not do anything else. Instead, he raised his head and looked at the vortex with a solemn expression. Uncle Pajuan. Xiao Bao immediately saw something from defeating armies' expression. His little hand suddenly grabbed defeating armies' collar tightly. Uncle defeating armies, will Daddy be in danger? Defeating armies couldn't bear to see Xiao Bao's anxious and terrified expression, and was about to say a few words of comfort. However, a loud roar came from the sky. Then, 2 figures, accompanied by countless poltergeist ghosts, fell straight down from the vortex. Defeating armies' expression changed drastically. Xiao Bao also shouted, Daddy. Di Mingju and Jun Shitian fall into the air, stabilizing their bodies. However, their appearances were indescribably miserable. Both of their faces were deathly pale. Something has dug a big hole in Di Mingju's chest. Blood was dripping everywhere, and one could even see the broken ribs inside. Jun Shitian wasn't any better. His body seemed to be intact, but there was a thick black aura lingering around him. Anyone from the demon race would know that it was because the demon body had been severely damaged. He could only use the demon origin energy in his demon core to repair it. This black gas was the mana pool that was repairing his body. Once the source of mana was reduced, it was irreversible. Emperor. Demon Sovereign. What the hell happened? The people below screamed in panic. Raising his head, he saw that the huge whirlpool was 3 times larger than before. It was not repaired at all. But the Celestial Emperor and the Demon Venerable were heavily injured. But how could this be? Suddenly, a small, blood-red head poked out of the huge vortex. Then, a humanoid creature about 2 meters tall drilled out of the whirlpool. This creature was extremely strange. It looked like a human. You're tuning into the Dreamy Chapters YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.